Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your midweek show. Here we go. Just in time.
Nice. Beautiful.
Just in time for the Singapore A350 departure. And there is a Virgin Atlantic A330 already taxied down past us as well. We are on 05 operations today. So we're going to see some up-close landing shots, some really nice departure shots as well. And we're just getting the last couple of things together here, guys. And we'll be right back with you in a moment. We'll leave you on that wide cam for a moment and stand by 2 seconds. Yeah, apologies, folks. Just getting the last couple of things sorted here, ready to go. We had an issue with Andy's GoPro that wasn't coming on, so we're just putting another camera up. I think we're good on that one now.
Yes.
It's not flashing anymore.
Yay.
I think we're good.
No party anymore.
Andy's not flashing on the roof anymore, guys.
Matt's pulled his trousers up. I'm not flashing.
And Lynn, thank you very much, gifting an Airliners Live membership to the community during the intro on today's stream as well.
Oh, thanks.
And Emirates Virgin Atlantic A330 is lining up, ready to depart.
Awesome. Yeah, GoPros, man, they're
supposed to be industry standard, aren't they?
Industry standard, and man, they are full of bugs.
You can now invest automatically every day.
Can you?
I don't want to invest, dude. I just want to go on flight radar, if that's all right. Know what I mean?
Here we go. Virgin Atlantic A330 departure. 05 left. Runway in use at the moment. Let's get some names in the chat as well. And welcome into the Midweek Madness Show here on Airliners Live. John Russell, good morning to you. Tina's in the chat. Scappy, Joanne, Waka, welcome back, Waka. Laurie M's up, nice and early. Rise and shine. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Awesome sound there from the Virgin Atlantic A330 300 series blasting off. A very cold runway here at Manchester Airport. Quite a bit of snow still on the ground as well after the flurry that we had yesterday morning. Someone giving me a wave over there from the mound. Or are they waving to the aviation action? Who knows? It's always awkward when you're out and about and someone waves at you and you wave back and it's actually someone else. I remember being at the shop near mine, like the little local store, and had the lady behind the counter just started talking to me going, "We're out of lettuce as well." And I'm like, "Oh no, what are you going to do?" And she goes, "Oh no, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to someone else behind the counter." It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering why you were giving me a lettuce update out of the blue. Has anyone else ever had that happen to them? Can't be just me. Because I feel like when that happens, you feel like you're the only one who has such troubles. I once, it was like when I was in college, and one of my best friends, he was quite a distinct-looking chap. You know, he has a bright ginger hair, and he used to ride this specific coloured bike, and I think it was a red bike, I think, or something like that. And he'd always wear white clothes as well, like a white hoodie or something. And I seen someone cycling with the exact same, setup. And I started speaking to them at like a distance. I was like, "Hey, nice seeing you. What are you doing around here?" It wasn't even him. I do need to get my eyes tested, don't I? That was a while ago. Beautiful, beautiful scenes. The Dreamliner. Wow. Folks, we're in for a treat today. The spray from the runway is glorious. The sun is shining as well. It's allegedly meant to be sunny all day today and tomorrow. So what I'm tempted to do tomorrow is get up nice and early and do a bit of filming. I think it depends on the runway direction. I'd love to get some like golden hour sunrise stuff while that's possible, Nice, Erica. 27 degrees in Cancun. That must be overnight, right? Like it's still very early in the morning at the least, right? Yeah, Lee, yeah. As much as, like, I don't get embarrassed from doing goofy things, like you guys have seen me dancing on stream, me doing talks in front of people. I don't mind. But when you do something like that, socially awkward, then, yeah, even I get very embarrassed and flustered.
Okie dokie. Right, so, and also today's stream, guys, we have been joined by Debbie Riley from the Aviation Society, but plenty of other roles as well. Thanks very much for coming on.
Nice to be here.
And it's got your microphone all sorted. And yeah, it's a lot better today than it was yesterday, isn't it?
Well, I think it would have been interesting yesterday because they were doing snow clearing, of course.
Yeah.
And today we've just got the sunshine.
It's all gone and cleared away. I think we'd rather be here today though than yesterday. Maybe Andy would anyway.
Yeah, I popped over yesterday, got a bit of filming. I was only here for like an hour, but it was great scenes. You had the snow plows doing the work on the runways. I've noticed they've been prioritising runway 1.
Yeah.
I mean, Debbie, you know a lot about airports and airport operations. I'm sure we'll delve into that. I mean, I assume the single runway ops is more to facilitate the snow, right? And
well, they have done ever since I was a duty manager. Always prioritise runway 1, as we call it, 2, 3 right. The reason for that is that runway 2 doesn't have a parallel taxiway. And so, therefore, there's always a need to backtrack. So you'll only get about 20 movements an hour off the far runway. This runway, you'll get about 40 movements an hour on single runway ops. So that's why they prioritise that, get the taxiways open, at least they can keep operating. Then once you've got everything else sorted on this north side, then they'll actually deal with the south side.
Yeah, and it was cool as well to see all the ops working at Manchester Airport, keeping things moving. We've seen a few times in the last week or so when Matt's been up on the apron, they've been storing a lot of the equipment over on the T1 side of the airfield, like all the snow clearing equipment, a lot of nice green tractors over there and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I guess they get that in super early, did they? Just ready to go? Or?
Well, what they do in the winter, they do actually bring them into a forward holding position so that they can actually get mobilised quickly. And what happens, if they have a frost forecast, they'll bring in what's called a frost cover, so they can anti-ice the runways, taxiways and aprons. But if there's snow forecast, then they'll bring in more people for a snow cover. So they actually bring them in, and sometimes they can do a whole night shift and it doesn't snow and they've just been paid overtime and had a nice time doing
nothing. And they just sat looking.
Yeah, absolutely, twiddling the thumbs.
But a little bit about Debbie, for those who don't know. Debbie's done so much, guys, so there's loads of opportunities for you to ask questions in the chat. She was a fighter controller in the RAF. Don't call her an air traffic controller, guys. She was a fighter controller in the RAF.
That sounds cooler.
Currently the chair at the Aviation Society, which we talk about a lot on streams. You are managing director of Airport Solutions, which is like an aviation consultancy company, which is worldwide. And you're also the first airfield duty manager, lady airfield duty manager.
I was indeed back in the 90s here at Manchester.
So Debbie's got quite an extensive kind of CV as far as aviation is concerned. So if you've got any questions, guys, maybe to do with airfield operations or regulations or things like that, Debbie's here with us today to answer questions like that as well. And Mrs. Airlines Live is in the chat. Hello. But yeah, I guess Aviation Society, because it's something that we talk about a lot on the channel. You're now the chair of that. I assume you took that over after Peter left us. And what does that involve, and maybe a little bit about the society and what it's all about?
Okay, yeah, no problems. Well, it was formed back in the 70s, so it's been going a long time. And Peter was the chair all the way through until he sadly passed away. So what do we do? Well, we have... I'll just run into it. So we have a social evening every month in the RVP Cafe, and we have a variety of different speakers, sometimes from the airport, from airlines and things like that, which is usually well attended. We also do what we call behind-the-scenes tours. So we'll go to, for example, Houghton Park, which is like a museum. We'll go to visit ATC, Liverpool Airport. And then we'll also do TAS overseas tours as well. Mm-hmm. And they're usually a few days. So last year, I should say, we went to Madrid and Munich, and this year we're off to Parma. And where else are we going? Milan, that's it. I've forgotten.
And how does that work? Do people all just kind of pay in and then you go together and everything's kind of organised for you?
Basically, we organise it. So it's an organised tour. Flights are organised, rooms, etc. And you have to book on it. You have to be a TAS member. And we usually take about 20 people. Yeah. And it's honestly like herding cats.
Is it?
when you're organising it. I've ran a couple myself. And when you say to somebody, can you meet at the baggage belt, you assume that they will know that it's the baggage belt for your flight rather than the first baggage belt they come to. So it does have its challenges at times. So we do that. But also, of course, we do the commentary. Yeah. And we have the commercial branch of TAS, which runs the TAS shop here, and also all of the tour guides here at the airport are our employees. Yeah. So we actually employ more people at the park than the airport does. Yeah,
it's a massive part of the park, and you mentioned the commentary as well. That's quite a new, in terms of TAS's time frame, quite a new addition to the park, and I think that was something Peter was really championing, wasn't it? And how did that come about? Because it is, when we talk to people who come over at the end of the show and they say hello to us and stuff, they always say, like, we love the commentary, it's been a great addition to the park and we've learnt so much and this, that, the other.
Well, what happened many years ago, we used to do a massive festival every year here in the park, and that's where before the Premier Terminal was built and we had more land. And it was a huge event. It was incredibly stressful, to be honest with you. And we used to hire in the commentary box just for the weekend. And we do commentary then. However, what happened after lockdown, of course, the first lockdown that we had, the BSB, who actually own this box, of course, he just had a yard full of boxes. Yeah. So Peter, innovative as always, had a great idea, and he phoned him up, and it's another Martin, believe it or not, and said, how about us having one of your boxes for the summer? And we got it for the whole summer, for the price that we do it for the weekend, because of course he couldn't do anything with them. So and then of course the airport that was done on a voluntary basis, and then the airport said, well, we want to contract you to do it formally because obviously volunteers, you can't force people to turn in. So that's the way it came out. And then, of course, another Peter innovative idea was he wanted it doing like a proper control tower, which is why it's got the red and white and the C on it.
Because I think a few of the viewers might remember it was blue and white, wasn't it, before?
Yeah.
On the very first interview, and Andy was kind of hanging off the side of the tower for a while. We tried for a very short period upstairs through the window, didn't we? And we quickly realised that wasn't going to work.
Yes.
And you was up there with straps and safety harnesses and stuff. And then now, obviously, as you can see now, they've put a custom. This was actually put in custom for Airliners Live, wasn't it? The hatch in the roof, and for you guys to get up there and take pictures. That wasn't there when you delivered it.
I've not tried it out because, knowing me, I'm accident prone. I'll fall off and break my neck or something. But I know Andy's quite happy running up there. But and a lot of our commentators take photos through the roof as well. But no, I'm not doing that.
Not having a go.
So anyway, the other thing that TAS do as well, just going back to that, is because we've got the volunteer engineering team, the VET,
yes,
and they look after the aircraft here in the park.
Yeah.
And they've done a great job on the Avro RJX, which was the first aircraft we got in. And it's because it was looking very, very sorry for itself. And they've done a brilliant job. They're working on the Nimrod now. They're hoping to start on the Trident, and also they've been working on the Monarch DC-10 fuselage as well. So, and they're doing a great job. And they're all volunteers.
They're all volunteers, yeah. We've been fortunate enough to kind of shadow them around a few times as well. And, they're always great guys and I remember we went in with the Nimrod, and they were showing us around saying, this is what this did and this is what that did and stuff, and they're doing work to try and get all the bits and pieces working. And even with the Concorde as well, you've got Heritage Concorde looking after that, and they've managed to get the nose operating now as well, which...
Yeah, there's a lot of the... They've basically gone around the country getting all the noses working because they're all decommissioned. And in fact, I think I was the last person to drive the nose down, and Peter was the last person to drive it up until they fixed it. And that was on the taxiway just outside here when we were formally being handed it over to us from British
So what was that
Airways.
like, just waiting on the apron and seeing Concorde coming in? Obviously, Peter has told the story on the stream a few times about how Concorde came to Manchester and stuff, but on the actual day, you stood on the apron, you're waiting for it to go, and you know that you've got it at that point. That must be super exciting, isn't it?
It was great. I mean, there was a super atmosphere, and you've probably seen some of the pictures. They're online on the TAS website if everybody wants to look at them. And it was a real holiday atmosphere. All the staff were out there, lined up. And I've never seen air traffic control so full of people in there. And it was a tremendous achievement because, when we started off, there were like hundreds of other bids, and to have actually achieved it was great.
And was you involved in the bidding process as well?
Yeah,
with
I was
Peter,
involved with Peter. And I think he was actually told confidentially that we'd got Concorde, but don't tell anybody, but you can tell the board. Obviously, you had to tell the managing director.
Yeah.
He also told me, which he probably shouldn't, but I didn't tell anybody. And I don't think we'll get into trouble for it now.
No, it's a bit too late now, isn't it? We got it now.
Yeah.
But it was actually, it's although people come down and see it today in the hangar, it wasn't in the hangar originally, was it? It was out on its own little...
It spent a few years... Well, what happened is that British Airways took us at our word. We said we can take immediate delivery. And they said, OK, decision made on the 30th, the 31st, it arrived, so we didn't have much time to sort it out. So it just arrived with us, and it sat on the apron for some time, and we had to put barriers around it because everybody was so interested, just to kind of like stop people, poking around at it.
So was the park super full on those first few days, people coming down to see it?
Oh, God, it was absolutely... obviously we had Alpha Golf, which was the last flight that they did, and then everybody thought it was the last one. I have to say, when I saw that aircraft take off, Alpha Golf, I had a tear in my eye. I thought, this is so sad. And... then there were just a few of us that knew that Alpha Charlie was going to arrive with us, and when she did, and then I remember moving it across the grass actually, and Peter was there, but he got called into a meeting, so I was left sorting
what a day to get called.
Oh, he wasn't a happy bunny, but it was quite funny because we obviously had to close this. We were on Easterlys, so everything was having to go onto the runway and backtrack. So ATC, single runway ops, of course, so because we didn't have two runways at that time, so ATC were really challenged, and we had metal trackway put down across from the taxiway over into the park, and we had to bring the fence down, of course, because when we had security here, while we towed the aircraft, which was a pretty delicate operation. And if you think about if you look at Concorde, it's like a fast jet. You've got a lot of force going through, not very many which undercarriage, unlike the A380 that's just landed with lots of undercarriage. And we towed it across, and I basically said, right, okay, leave the trackway where it is. We'll open up the taxiway, get everything moving, and then we will go and remove it. And the two idiots from the trackway, they just went down and started removing it. And I just ran into the taxiway and put my hands up, like, cross your hands to show, that was the sign to stop. And I had no radio, and I just stood in the taxiway like that. There was an Air France right in front of me. Couldn't speak to anybody, and in the end ATC got kind of the hint and put it onto the runway and backtracked it. But that could have been quite dangerous if the tracking had gone.
I bet. But it's here now, and it's all settled in, and it's great to be able to see it every day. So if anyone hasn't been to the RVP before, guys, make sure you do go and see Concorde. And there are tours available as well that you can go and be a part of. They do sort of short tours, they do technical tours where they really get in depth, and they're a lot longer. It's definitely well worth seeing. But as you just saw, Emirates A380 just arriving in to Manchester Airport, an awesome piece of kit.
And we just had a British Airways A380 just go over the top of us.
Is that what we saw? Was
yeah,
it?
that's what it was. Yeah.
I know Sam is obviously a big fan of the Concorde, and there's a website where you can see all the Concordes in the world where they're all parked to this day, where you can go and see them. And it's crazy when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, how fortunate we are to have one based here at Manchester, a little blip right where we are. And then, there's huge swathes of the world where they just can't see them locally, right? You've got to travel for a long, long way just to go and see a Concorde, maybe like a big museum, maybe all the way to Germany, or obviously there's a few here in the UK as well, but we're so lucky to have that here.
And with your time with the airport and things, do you know, obviously with the RVP, everyone always says it's one of the best plane spotting locations in the world.
Yeah.
And Manchester, it seems to be kind of on its own, really, with something like that. Do you know anything about the thought process of the RVP and how it kind of came about? Because it's so good. And then you look elsewhere and it's just like, it just seems to be one on its own, really.
Yeah, it goes back quite a few years. I haven't got the dates to mind, but basically, before runway 2 was built, it was TAS again and Peter that lobbied. There was what we call the old brickworks over the far side, and it was Peter that lobbied the airport, and TAS volunteers came in and cleared the site and everything, and we had a little TAS shop over there, and it was set up as a viewing park on the south side. And of course, when runway 2 came along, that would get cut right through the middle of that facility. And that's why the airport owned the land, of course, because they were going to be doing runway 2. So Peter, again being Peter, said, well, we need a replacement. And again lobbied the airport for a replacement. And I was actually in planning at the time, so I was actually involved in choosing the site along with Peter and everything else. And this site was chosen. And so originally it was just literally a viewing park. There was no plans to have any aeroplanes in here. And then when the Avro RJX was being retired, Peter managed to get that. And that was the first aeroplane here. And then followed by the others.
It's just remarkable how much sort of TAS has just been involved from the very beginning.
A lot of it is TAS. If it wasn't for TAS and Peter in particular, we wouldn't be sitting here today talking.
No.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't be doing this job today either, would you?
Not, no.
Exactly.
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked, and so this site was chosen. There was always a bit of concern on are they going to build up another taxiway, but I don't think that we're in danger of that really.
I mean, I'm going to do a little bit of lobbying, though. I mean, listen, if they do push us back, we'll say we'll swap you a bit at the front there for another 3-story commentary box. Would be nice. We'll have one of them, shall
we? Multi-story car park in the middle. So basically, that's really how it came about. Because, of course, we used to have the terraces, but they got closed for security purposes as well.
Is that why they went in the end? Because a lot of people in the chat have fond memories of those terraces and the little shop at the top of there as well.
Yeah. And actually TAS is the second longest concessionaire at Manchester Airport behind WH Smith.
Wow.
There you go.
So we've always had a shop somewhere, moved several times.
It's great, isn't it, to hear the history of it and everything like that. And I know you said it was over on the south side originally. A few people in the community have said, oh, imagine how good a spotting location on the south side would be. And obviously we've got the light into our face here on the other side. That wouldn't be a problem. But I guess that just comes down to need rather than it's definitely a luxury,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, part of the planning for runway 2 was a site has actually been located on the south side if this needs to move.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think it's being used as a contractor's compound.
Yeah.
But there are no plans at all on the horizon to move this facility.
Yeah, that's great because it's such a good spot. Like you say, you got the cafe, the shop. I mean, we make regular use of the cafe, and we're probably definitely patrons. You know.
And how many chips have you eaten?
We've tried all of them. We're loving the bacon and egg sandwiches at the minute. I don't know what wizardry he's got in that kitchen, but he always gets the egg bob on. So we're definitely fans of the cafe as well. KLM, which is longest serving airline at Manchester, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And in fact, it's KLM, which is why the airport is here. Because originally it was Barton, and KLM wanted to fly commercially, and Barton wasn't suitable. So this is why this location was chosen. And then, so it's KLM that is the reason the airport's where it is.
And they've never stopped, have they, flying in and out, KLM?
No, I think they flew all the way through lockdown, didn't they?
I think so,
yeah.
That's great. Like you say, even again, just a little fact that some of the viewers may not know how influential KLM are on Manchester Airport being here as well. But as we've said, guys, we've got the chats open. If you've got any questions for Debbie, please get them in the chat, and we'll try and get those questions answered as best we can as well. We had some support as well coming into the stream, which I'll try and catch up on whilst we've got a little bit of a break. Well, we got quite a lot to catch up on, actually. Kai, a brand new business class member, thank you very, very much. Mike Rogers with the donation saying, good morning. I watched Andy's premiere tutorial video on speed ramp vertical videos and learnt a few new tricks, so thanks for that. Nice one, dude. I enjoy that. Yeah. We use that quite a lot on the old editing.
That was a while ago, that wasn't it? A good few years ago we made that.
It was.
Yeah.
Sasha as well with a very generous donation. Thank you, Sasha, saying another donation for a great channel. Thank you very, very much. Randolph, Slaven and Robert both supporting the channel. Good morning to you guys. Thank you so much for your support this morning. Nikon G, returning 1 month member. Robert, a brand new Airliners Live member, gifting a membership to the community as well. And Paul with a $4.99 donation saying, please do apologise to Debbie if we alarmed her on Sunday. That was when all the mods piled into...
Well, it was a bit of a... Oh, my gosh,
it took us by surprise as well, because we were... Matt told me that his camera had gone faulty and he had to come back to the RVP. And then Matt come in and he was sat where you were sat and he said, just look at the door there, gents. And we thought, he's getting a surprise out his bag, so we're like looking this way, trying not to look round. Next thing, from round about, all the mods piled in through the door. And they'd been hiding round the back over there.
Well, we wondered what on earth was going on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they left the door open.
Obviously. Blame Paul for
so you
that.
got me shouting, close the door!
Get the door, it's freezing!
Because, last week, wasn't it, where we were actually due to have you on, Debbie, was it Wednesday last week, and we had to cancel that show because we were forecast to hit 1 million subscribers, but it would have been like, Wednesday night at silly o'clock, and we decided to get rid of that show as to artificially delay it so it would tick over the next day so we could be live for it. And the mods, I think they were gonna surprise us on that Wednesday show, I think that's kind of the gist I got. So for them as well, they were stressing and doing last minute changes. I think they then said, we're just
going to have to go for Sunday because the date just kept moving, and they were trying to get travel arrangements sorted to come up here and everything. And we've got news that the Flying Architect, one of the mods, has took responsibility for not shutting doors. So it's David who you need to whack at
you're in trouble. No, but congratulations to you guys. It's fantastic news. It really is. And I noticed you had a cake as well.
We did, yeah. Yes. Tom and Anne. We've got a little. What do you call it? Like a little fan club. every Sunday they take the first couple of tables in the cafe there, Tom and Anne, and they just say to anyone, if anyone's in the community, come into the RVP, we're on these tables in the cafe, come and say hello. And we've had community members coming down and coming and seeing us, and Tom and Anne come and surprise us with a cake as well. They did try and light the candles in here. I said, don't light the candles in here, we'll get in trouble. But
why would you get in trouble?
Cake.
You wouldn't.
I know, but if I dropped it and it set fire to the box, you know what would happen.
Worst case scenario.
I know.
They are like so approachable, Tom and Anne, though, aren't they? And they're always sat there, aren't they? Just
in the cafe.
Odd community members just popping in and joining them and stuff. And Yeah, it's always nice to see them at the end of a show as well.
Yeah. So a quick flick through the chat. We've got Paul Campbell saying hello. When did Airport drop the name Ringway? Asking Paul Campbell.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
A while back, wasn't
That's
it?
a long time ago, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, people still unofficially say Ringway, but it's when I came to work here in 1989, it was Manchester International Airport at that time. It's now just Manchester Airport. So it wasn't even that. So predated 1989.
And Chester Mike, one of our mods, just sharing probably one of our most shared articles in our live streams is To Catch a Concorde by Peter Hampson on the TAS website. We're always sending people there. It's a great story, guys. If you've not read it, go and give that article a read.
Yeah, I love the presentation that you did there, Debbie,
you.
at the Concorde Gala, which was, when was that, back in October now, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, to celebrate, obviously, the anniversary of Concorde arriving here at Manchester for the last time. Really great evening, actually. And was that another thing run by TAS, was it? Was that another TAS
That was
event?
an airport-ran thing, but
Yeah.
obviously TTL, TAS, had an input into it, obviously, and we did a lot of work. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was an airport-run thing. It was really successful. Everybody really enjoyed it, and we had over 300 people there. And we're thinking of maybe doing a summer ball or something,
That'd be nice.
for the summer.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
Which would be good. But no speakers, just dancing and in there, which I think would be quite nice. But it's a fantastic venue, and it looked superb on the night. It really did.
Yeah, I mean, they have corporate events in there as well, and sometimes when we come in through the week and we're setting up, we can see some of the guys we used to work with when we were doing events. I won't name the company, but there's a regular company in there, isn't there, that do it, and the way they make that room look with Concorde in there and everything, the big banners and the stage and everything, it looks so good. It's
And
such
the
a good
lights on the
spot.
side of Concorde, and
Yeah.
it does look really effective.
It really does.
You go in on a day like today, and the heating's off, of course, and it's freezing cold, and it doesn't look that inviting.
Well, we were shadowing the Heritage Concorde guys back in the heat of summer last year.
Yeah.
And the heat in there at that time was just crazy.
Yeah, you go
It was
up the
rising,
steps,
wasn't
don't
it?
you? As you go up the steps, you feel it getting warmer and warmer.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
inside the Concorde, oof.
We had aircon blowing and everything while they were doing something in there. It was awesome.
No, it can be extremes, one extreme to another in there.
Yeah.
Ian Beddoes, long-term viewer of the channel, is asking an Airport kind of ops kind of question. What's the speed limit on taxiways, and how or is it enforced?
Do you mean for the vehicles or the aircraft?
I guess for both. Probably the aircraft, I would have thought, but I guess maybe we touched
There's
on
no
both.
speed limit for aircraft.
There's not at all? I
No.
always thought it was like 30 knots.
No.
Right.
Ryanair have a reputation for taxiing extremely fast.
Yeah, we've seen that, yeah.
Because of course they've only got a 25-minute turnaround. But for the vehicles, I mean, usually it's about 30 miles an hour, but if it's a full emergency that you're attending, you just put your foot down and go.
And you just go.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I did not realise there was no aircraft speed limit on the taxiways. There you go.
Now, the airlines themselves will probably have a speed limit, but there's no official speed limit from the airport side. There's no requirements to do so.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. I've just learned something today as well. Let's have a look. And I guess with regards to... we're now seeing the Emirates A380 that's got its own taxiway charts that it needs to follow and stuff like that. What was the process like for bringing that in? Because that was such a mammoth of an aircraft, wasn't it, in comparison? I assume there was just tons and tons of planning, was there, going into that?
There was a lot. I mean, first of all, there's the airfield side, and then there's the terminal side. So if I just speak about the airfield, each aircraft has a different code associated with it, from code A, B, C, D, E, F. The Code F aircraft, there's only 3 of them in the world. There's the Antonov 124, there's a Boeing 747-800, and there's the A380. And that Code F will have a certain clearance that for the taxiways. So it's a taxiway strip that has to be clear for that aircraft. So you will then have to make sure the fence is not in the way and everything else, that it's actually safe to do so, which is why it was put on stand 12 and not on Pier C, because we didn't have the clearance there. And then so there's that side of it, which... just checking everything out. But the other side, of course, probably more intense in some respects, was the terminals, because, of course, they had built that extra air bridge on for the upper deck.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's on the end of stand 12 on Pier B. So that was quite a lot of work, to do that.
Because I think they were doing some work on Bravo, was it, the other week? and they're bringing the A380 left, which I think that's off. Is that off its usual? That's off its usual chart route, because I know they had people following it as well every time it came.
Right.
in.
Okay. Yeah. Probably was off the routing, but you can take safeguards and put it. I mean, taxi it down a code E taxiway, but you just need to put a safety case together to see if you can actually make it safe. It's quite interesting when they first introduced the A380. They actually said that the runway width should be 60 metres, and most runways were 45 metres. And many airports spent a lot of money widening their runways, but the A380 continued to operate into 45-metre wide runways without any problems, and with a safety case risk assessment. And so ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organisation, reviewed all the requirements and reduced it back down to 45 metres.
Oh, there you go. So what was that, the reason just for the wing overhang, or what was the main reason for widening it?
Yeah, also the engines, of course, the outer engines are over the grass, but the outer engines, they don't have reverse thrust, so it's not a big deal. And that's why one of the reasons Airbus designed it like that was it was designed by Airbus to operate off a 45-metre wide runway. It's why they did 60, I don't know, but it's been reviewed now. It's back down to 45. Same thing with the taxiways. The taxiways 23 metres wide. They said they needed 25-metre wide taxiways. Lots of money spent. And
there's a lot of rumours around at the minute, obviously, with the new work being done and stuff, that it's probably confirmed as well that there's more A380 gates coming.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
So do you think we're expecting more A380s, or is that just like a contingency thing, do you think?
Well, what happens is exactly the initial idea, and I'm not sure what the thinking is, was that when Terminal 2 is completed, Terminal 1 would kind of be mothballed. And, of course, at the moment, the only contact stand we have for the A380 is on Terminal 1 at the end of PB, sorry. So they think they were creating, I think it's 2 stands for the A380, because, of course, there have been situations, not frequently, where we have had 2 380s on the ground. Yeah. So there will be A380s on T2, but it's going to be the last pier to be built. So we're talking some time in the future. Yeah, there you go. So not necessarily more A380s, which is what we keeping our fingers crossed. You never know, though. We'll keep hoping, I guess. Let's have a quick through the chat. How do planes taxi? Is it manual or autopilot, or who does turn the plane? So, Linda, there's the captain side, usually in the aircraft, has got what's called a tiller, which is like a handle off to the left-hand side, and it goes like this, and they twist it forwards, backwards, and backwards would go left, and forwards would go to the right. So it's manually done by the usually on the captain side on a lot of aircraft. British Airways shuttle just touching down, connecting to Heathrow. It's quite interesting because when we're doing commentary, we're also just as interested in the overflights as what's happening here. Yeah. But of course, you guys, I mean, you can't really film this guy, can you? I mean, we do our best on a day like today. Usually someone in the chat will say, "Oh, look out! There's something special coming in." I mean, Andy can get some sort of an overflight, but it needs to really come pretty much head on for us here. But we have got an aircraft over the top there. We'll have to have a look what that one is. But you said you also did some time in the RAF as well. Is that how you got into everything? Was that your first kind of aviation-related job, or? It was my first aviation-related job, but I mean, my passion for aviation came because I'm originally from Coventry. We used to live near Baggington Airport, and it's in the days where they used to have the air show. I remember standing in the back garden with my brother with the Vulcan bomber. It's when they used to whack it round, the noise, and the whole ground used to shake. And the Vulcan is still my favourite. Yeah. And that's what really, I think, got me into that. My dad liked aviation. We used to go to air shows a lot. But I joined the Air Force. I told my dad I was joining the RAF. He said, "You're a bloody idiot." So I joined as a fighter controller, and I did a tour at RAF Neatishead in Norfolk, and then I went on to do an ops officer tour at RAF Larbrock in Germany, because of course it was in the 1980s during the Cold War. Yeah, shows how old I am. So what sort of aircraft were you controlling then at your time? It was basically the fighter control element was mostly Phantoms at the time, but at RAF Germany it wasn't, although it was what's called a GD, a general duties job, so it was as ops officer. But there it wasn't air defence. It was strike attack there. So we had 4 squadrons, 3 Tornadoes and 1 Jaguar squadron.
Very, very nice. Let's have a quick listen into this 350 depart, and then we'll crack back on with that. Another really nice aircraft, the A350. We love seeing those on the show, and we also really took a liking to the 330 Neos as well. I don't know if you like those, but we really love those.
I like the 350 though. I think it's just got the edge over the Dreamliner. It just looks a little bit more, I don't know, sleek.
It's a bit more about it, hasn't it? Especially head on, it looks absolutely awesome. So you did some time in Germany, and then how did you get into Manchester Airport, and what kind of led to that?
Well, I left the Air Force. I signed on for 6 years and left after 6 years. Thoroughly enjoyed it, but I thought enough was enough. And I actually came out in the Thatcher boom years in 1989. And actually, I literally applied for 3 jobs and got offered 2 of them, which was amazing. And I decided, I had 1 job in London that was offered, which... but I came up to Manchester, and I just thought the people were really friendly, and I actually originally went into planning. I wanted to get into operations, but you get your foot in the door, don't you? That's the best way. Yeah. So I was in planning, and it was actually a really exciting time because we were just starting to build Terminal 2. Mm-hmm. So I was involved with that. And then we also started the planning for Runway 2. So I was involved in that on the planning side. Then I moved on to operations, and I was involved in the operations of Runway 2 as well.
So you got in just at the right time, yeah. So you really saw Runway 2 coming in. I guess that was mainly just down to a capacity, obviously Manchester Airport being super popular, wanting to get more in. I mean, we've seen some community members have shared like really a lot older pictures of the airfield, and there's just 747s everywhere, tri-jets.
Oh, no.
And you just think, imagine if we could just go back with all this gear, maybe 20 years, and just what a show you'd get from that.
You get so much more, well, we got so much more variety. And, of course, ATR, noisy. We also used to do mass diversion days, which you don't see anymore. That was like if London was fogged out, Heathrow, Gatwick, then we just get loads of diversions. But these days, they put flow control on. So what happens is the domestic stuff will go first, get cancelled, then the European stuff to get the long haul in. So we just don't see those mass diversions. And the last mass diversion day, I was on duty as the duty manager, and I got about 3 diversions, and they were, due to wind, and I thought, this is odd. And it was down south, and it was because it was wind, there was no mechanism for putting flow control on. So we actually had loads, and Peter called me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, get your butt in here. I want you to take a team over to Runway 2, which was all fenced off, because it was still a building site. I want you to open up the taxiways to park aircraft on.
Wow.
We didn't do it, but we nearly did. But we had literally aircraft everywhere, and it was actually good fun. But with the advent of safety management now, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't, that wouldn't happen. But it was fun, shall we say? Yeah,
busy times as well. Really busy, because I think Manchester nowadays, I guess again it's just down to a capacity thing.
Yeah.
There's been a few times where we've heard on the grapevine, and again we take it with a pinch of salt, that so and so was supposed to divert in, or the RAF has to do this, and it usually gets rejected, doesn't it? Just due to, I guess, capacity.
Well, yes, capacity and so slots on the runway as well. So yeah. I mean, Manchester Airport now is not the same animal it was back in the 1980s, 90s.
Yeah.
And as I say, I think there's, in aviation overall, generally, there's a lot more safety consciousness on that we have. It's a mandatory requirement for every airport to have a safety management system. When I first joined, what's the safety management system? You just did all sorts of things.
So what does that involve then?
Basically, it's... have you got a week?
I mean, is it just a set of contingencies that come into place based on...
Basically, it's how you will operate. So you have to do, if you have a new procedure, your process, you'll have to do a risk assessment for it. Helicopter up there. And
crossing over.
So you'll have to do that. But also accident investigation, because one of the big issues in aviation that costs a lot of money is, people rushing on the ramp, mobile belt goes through prangs and aircraft, vehicle accidents. It does happen. You're dealing with human beings. It's also looking at why people get things wrong, why they make mistakes and commit errors and things like that. Implementing just culture. So, if somebody does something wrong, you actually try to find out why they've done it wrong rather than just blaming them.
Yeah.
So that's the whole concept of it, really. And it has changed an awful lot. Because what we want to is people have a just culture so that if there's something is wrong, they see something wrong, they report it and they know they're not going to get into trouble for reporting it.
Yeah, and I guess that's what you're now taking worldwide, I guess, with Airport Solutions. Is that, again, that was something you worked on prior with Peter as well, and now you're looking after that with a team as well? Well,
basically, yes, and we do quite a lot of training as well. I'm off to Riyadh next week. And so we do training on safety management. We do training on, the regulations out on the airfield. I mean, I always say that people have their airport experience and their airline experience. So they get to the airport, they go through the airport, they get on the aircraft, it's the airline experience. The most regulated part of the whole of the airport system is basically the airfield. And there's even a regulation for the height of the grass.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just a case of they're hiring you to come and review what they've got put in place, I assume?
It's a variety of things. So I've actually gone and done audits of aerodromes to help them to see if there's anything, how they can improve. I've done audits on behalf of insurance companies. I also worked at Dubai, in Dubai World Central, doing the certification of that, and Dubai International. I worked there for a while as well. And I used to live in Dubai. So just really helping them do their change managements and implement the safety management system there.
That's really interesting, isn't it? And like you say, you're always travelling, because there's so many times like, we've not seen Debbie for ages, and you've been here, you've been there, travelling all around everywhere. Is it still fun to do that after all the time you've been doing it?
It was... the day I stop enjoying it is the day I'll stop. I think that's the easiest thing. But yes, I still do enjoy it. But when they lose your bags 6 times in 1 year, it gets a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
I have a tracker in my bag now.
Oh, you've done that, have you? Yeah, a lot of people are doing that now, aren't they, to see where it is?
Yeah.
It does help. I lost my bag for 10 days last year.
Oh, no.
It was actually... it was a catalogue of disasters. And... they put it on the aircraft out to me on the aircraft I was flying back on. So it arrived where I was and I got back home.
Oh, gosh.
And are you normally away for long periods of time, or is it just a few days, or does it just depend?
It's normally a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 weeks, but I don't really like doing much more than that. But I have a run coming up, I think, in the future. About 4 weeks I'm away. So,
wow.
But I try to come back in between times if I can. So, next week I'm in Riyadh, and the week after I'm in Brussels, then I'm back for a bit.
There you go, lots of travelling. And like you say, it's all training-based regarding the airfield sort of measures that are put in place and stuff like that. So if you've got any questions specifically around airports or any of the history of any of the roles we've spoke about, ladies and gents, feel free to get some questions in the chat. And Lauren saying, I've lost my bag for 2 days once, that was bad enough.
Well, just out of interest, if you just look at slight to the left, we have an British Airways A380 Heathrow San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, we can just see that going over the top.
It's quite a nice shot of that one.
Yeah, let's go zoom in on that. Wow.
Beautiful.
And that's still in the climb at the moment, just climbing through 34,000 feet.
That's epic. Yeah, it's great being south facing. You see all this sort of traffic doing transatlantic coming from, Europe and south of England as well, like Heathrow. It's good to see the BA A380s back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. Well, aviation officially is back to pre-COVID levels in 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, which is great. But I think some airports were back to pre-COVID levels anyway. But it was absolutely surreal. I actually flew back from Guam. This is just before lockdown in February, and I'd gone through Japan to get there, and it had really hit Japan at that time. It hadn't got to us, and I just remember thinking, this isn't going to stop at a line in the ground. This is going to be like you know.
This is going to be a problem,
And I was staying overnight there, and I thought, I'd go to a restaurant. All the restaurants were closed. There was nothing. There was a supermarket open, so I went and bought myself a bottle of wine and 2 sandwiches.
I remember the US returned to pre-COVID capacity pretty quick, relatively to us.
Yeah.
I remember being in, I think it was Dallas, Fort Worth in January 22, and it was booming. It was like so busy, like all the flights were still flying, and meanwhile in Manchester at that time it was still just getting there, baby steps. And like I said, I think Manchester now is back at that full swing level, really, and you only have to go into the terminal building to see that, really.
Yeah, especially in the summertime. It can be a bit hectic in there. So I have to say, I'm in a very fortunate position that if I am travelling long haul, not short haul, long haul, I actually do get the pleasure of going in business class, so that makes it a lot better. But I mean, you can't justify it for an hour on a plane to go to Brussels or Amsterdam.
I mean, you can try.
Yeah, but
you
no.
can try.
I've always wondered, like with BA, the shuttle service down to Heathrow, you can get business class. It's not that expensive, but you're there thinking, it's only 30 minutes. Like, is it really worth?
No, it's not. I don't think it's worth the money. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
And if you can't sit on a plane for a couple of hours, in the back, I mean, sad.
We had a question coming in from Gizmondo on YouTube. Probably can't answer this. You're still working in the industry, so you probably can't answer the second half of it. But what's your favourite airport? And he also asked, what's your least favourite airport to travel through? I don't know if you're happy to give an opinion on the second one. But
Okay, I won't say to travel through. I will actually say one of the most amazing airfields I've been on is the new Istanbul airport. They've got everything you can possibly think of. They have that. And I think probably one of the... no, better not answer the second one.
Not answer the
I
second.
have got an answer that I'll tell you privately.
And Hayden, thank you very much for your donation, mate, supporting the stream today. Who says, Debbie's speaking voice is lovely and her knowledge is brilliant. So there you go. From
Thank you.
Hayden. Surprised he didn't call you a buster, because that's what he calls us all the time. He's going to say, all right, busters. Cheers. Thank you for all the support coming in, guys. We can see it coming through, obviously. We've got a lot of questions we want to ask Debbie today. So I'm really sorry we're not reading those out all individually, but thank you so much. We'll give you all a collective bing bong for all your support today. Thank you very, very much.
Air France A220, one of the newer airliners that you'll see at Manchester these days, and we like these. We love the A220s, mainly because they look nice, but the engines. Have you ever flown on one of these?
I have with Air Baltic.
Oh, right.
Yeah, a few
Riga.
times actually. I've flown out of Riga, I think it's usually to Brussels. And they're really actually comfortable. They're very nice, actually. And
what do those engines sound like from inside? When
no different, really. Well, I've not noticed. But I like it because it's in a 2-3 configuration. So if there's a couple of you, you can sit together. You don't have to sit in a 3. So that's nice.
Smart.
Might be one for me, then.
Yeah.
Welly on Twitch says, are airport regulations based per country, or is there an international standard, and he's watching from Australia?
Right, yes, there is an international standard. It's set by the ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Organisation, and they have 19 annexes which contain all the standards and recommended practice for every single aspect of aviation, from accident investigation to security to airfield design, which is Annex 14, to personnel licensing. So it covers every aspect. And they are then released, but ICAO has no legislative powers. So what happens then is each country will take those regulations and put them into their own legislation. So within Europe, we have the EASA, which is the European Aviation Safety Agency. So they've taken the ICAO regulations and they've produced their own documentation. The UK is still following those because it's been drafted into our legislation, so we're still following the EASA rules. Some countries can do something called filing a difference, which means that for whatever reason that you are not going to necessarily follow the regulations. But that most times I would say that's like something like a safety enhancement. And the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration in the US, have filed more differences than anywhere else.
Have they?
Yeah. I find it really hard because we all deal with, for example, all the runways are done in metres.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do metres for horizontal, feet for vertical, unless you're in the US and everything's in feet. So they start talking to me in feet and I'm having to just try to do a calculation on what we're doing, what we're thinking of. So there's quite a lot of differences there. So that's why if you go to the Caribbean, they often produce the documentation there for the pilots that the pilots use in feet and metres because they have a lot of pilots from the US, obviously, that go down into the Caribbean.
And is most of your work, would you say, abroad now in terms of what you're doing? You're always travelling, and is it usually sort of west or east where you usually head to?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I spent just before COVID quite a lot of time working in believe it or not, Honolulu and Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah.
So I've been to quite a few of those. That was quite interesting. But I've also, literally everywhere.
And Belgium's one of our long-term supporters. Again, commenting on your voice, Debbie. We'll have to get this in the magazine next one. Says, I do understand most English accents, but Debbie's international English will be most welcome for the worldwide audience. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Is that something you learn in ATC, or do you just have a very nice voice?
I wasn't ATC.
I've got to watch.
I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain in a minute. No, I mean, I used to have a South African accent when I was a kid because we lived in Swaziland, which is Eswatini now. And I came back and my father said to me, I'm sending you to electrocution lessons if you don't lose the accent. I think he meant elocution. Well, I hope he did. He was just joking. But no, I mean, it's just, I think it's because I've worked and lived in so many different places. I've just got a non-accent, really.
Yeah. But go on. So why do I keep getting it wrong?
Okay, air traffic control. Air traffic control keep aircraft apart. Mm-hmm. Fighter control, they actually do intercept, so they will intercept the fighter. Mm-hmm. Do it like Top Gun sort of thing. So they control the aircraft to do that. Oh, right. So we put the aircraft together. So there was always a lot of friendly banter when I was in the Air Force between the air traffic controllers and the fighter controllers. Yeah. And so that's why we sort of, it's more of a joke, really. That's the reason why. So they're not actually the same; they're totally different.
So do you know? I guess obviously we have the Typhoons in the UK that handle our intercepts and stuff like that. How does that work? Say, for example, it's usually like radio based, isn't it? When an aircraft isn't communicating with ATC, they'll try a few times and then they'll be sent up. Is that how it works? And then how do they navigate through the airspace? Because the airspace is so busy.
Okay, what will happen? I think it's Annex 2. I could have got that. Rules of the Air. So again, there's another whole document on rules of the air, which includes the rules for intercepting, aircraft. So basically, if there is a reason to intercept, then they've got something called the QRA, the Quick Reaction Alert, and you will scramble the QRA, and then they will be under control of a fighter controller who will do the intercept.
And who initially scrambles? Is it the ATC where the aircraft is that calls that?
Well, ATC would actually raise the alarm that they would have an issue with an aircraft. It very rarely happened when I was in the Air Force in the 80s because we didn't have this. It was pre-9/11, so we didn't have that. We're going to intercept, passenger aircraft. So it really didn't happen that much. The most of the stuff we were intercepting was the Russians,
the Bears and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so that wasn't any civil involvement at all. And that's most of it was basic Russia, well, USSR as it was at the time.
Yeah. And then when those aircraft are scrambled, will they then be checking in with regular ATC, or do they have their own controllers looking after them?
They'll be talking to fighter controllers.
Yeah. Iceland, a lot of eyes to Iceland at the moment with the current eruptions going on. Keeping our fingers crossed it doesn't affect air travel too much. I know it has done in the past, hasn't it?
Well, are you ready for it? Eyjafjallajökull, that's the volcano.
Wow, well, there you go. That's like Andy's one. What's your one?
The whale.
You can say the really long Welsh one.
Oh, really?
Maybe at the end of the street.
Okay. Anyway, I was living in Dubai at the time, and of course, it was actually really amazing because we had Dubai ended up having to raise their crisis management team because they ran out of parking spaces. Because not only did they have aircraft, the European aircraft that shouldn't have been there during the day, they also had a load of the Emirates fleet that shouldn't have been there. So they were really struggling. And what happened is that obviously, I think Peter got stuck in this country. He couldn't get out. He was supposed to be coming out. I had to go and do his job for him while he was doing that, because I was actually living in Dubai at the time. And he sent me a parcel through DHL, and it got to me in 2 days. How on earth did that happen? I said to him, DHL yourself across, and you'll get there. Never worked that one out yet.
That's crazy, isn't it? But I think it's crazy, isn't it? How something like an eruption in Iceland can have such a mass effect on just global travel.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you been keeping an eye on what's been going on over there? Do you think it's anything that may affect us? Or
Listen, I'm not a volcanologist. I don't know. I have no idea. I think it depends on the way the wind blows, whatever. Because if you think about it, Reykjavik, Keflavik actually stayed open for the whole of the time during that because the wind was going the opposite direction, so they were open.
Yeah.
But it was certainly an interesting time.
A few comments in the chat about the new Iceland Air livery as well. Are you a fan of that?
I like it.
Yeah. It was one of them where when it first came out, we were a bit underwhelmed. Like, oh, really? But I think it's grown on us a lot. I just hope they keep going the specials that they have. Keep them alive in some way.
I mean, the Aurora Borealis has got to be the best livery out on the 757 as well, and I love 757s. It's a shame that they're slowly but surely going to be we're losing them from Manchester as Jet2 are going to get rid of them and introduce the A321s.
Yeah.
But I think it would be nice if they continue to do the special liveries.
And would you say the 75 is your favourite aircraft, or do you have another favourite aircraft that you'd choose?
I'm very fond of the 75. I think he looks like a thoroughbred horse, if an aeroplane could look like a horse. I do like, but I also have a soft spot for jumbos as well.
Yeah.
And when Virgin, they retired their fleet, and it was amazing the turnout. All the Virgin crews were turning out, and it was really quite emotional. And they always did a wing waggle, before they went, and it was actually quite sad that they've all gone now.
We spoke about that a few times on how that kind of, for us as a channel as well, just coming out of the back end of COVID, wasn't it? That kind of threw us right back into it, because when they first announced it, me and Andy said, "Oh, that's going to happen while we're not allowed out, or we're not allowed to the airport, and we're going to miss it, and this, that, the other." And then it turned out we could stream it.
Yeah.
And it really kind of opened the channel up to a huge audience. Those retirement flights, and that first one especially. I don't know if you was here or not, but there was a huge crowd here in the RVP, and then as soon as it lifted off, we didn't expect it, but everyone just started clapping and cheering, and that got me and him upstairs. We were like, "Oh, don't put the camera on us." That was it. Then set us right off.
Yeah, I think I was here for every one of them, because I wasn't working, of course, because I had no work to do.
Yeah.
So I just used to come along and do some commentary.
Yeah, I remember that the last arrival, which was I think Ruby Tuesday, and it was a day like today. It was glorious sunshine. And you could watch her coming in all the way, down the approach on the base leg, turning on. And I don't think the RVP was open. This was back in August, or it was maybe even earlier. So what we had to do was go over to the south side. And I remember one of the fields there, one of the farmers' fields, a sea of red, loads of Virgin uniforms, just coming to watch, a gang of them, all watching and waving
all
their
sat on the field over there.
Waving whatever in the air at the plane as it came in for the last time. And then obviously, like you said, we had the retirement flights following that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the RVP was open for a lot of them as well, because that was amazing.
It was a great atmosphere, and I just think it shows how much they're missed. And I've got a friend actually who was a Virgin 747 first officer, and of course I think he got laid off, and I think he's stopped flying now. He's driving a train.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What a change.
I know.
Yeah, the 747s were definitely something else, and again, that kind of goes back to the pictures we've been sent in of people when they're on the terraces and stuff like that, and it was just all 747s everywhere. There were so many, and Manchester seems to have shifted quite a lot since then, because it was sort of huge international aircraft, tri-jets, quad-jets, and then all of a sudden we're now just seeing everything's kind of low cost with the Ryanairs, EasyJets, and we're treated to a few bigger aircraft here and there. But is that kind of one of the main changes you've noticed in Manchester over the years as well? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, there used to be such a massive variety of different aircraft types that you get in. You even get a lot of the East Tupolovs and Illusions and stuff and like that, which you just don't see anymore. It's very much Airbus and Boeing.
Yeah.
The 73 A320, almost taken over completely, which is a real shame. And this is why I think I'm so passionate about the 757s, and I love the Boeing 757s of Jet2 in the silver and red livery. I think a picture of that with the blue sky and the sunshine is fantastic. And it's really sad because, I mean, we actually saw one that went to St Athan recently, didn't we?
Yeah.
And flying out devoid of its titles, was really sad. And it's like the demise of the 767. Now, Britannia, I was sorry, TUI have got rid of the 76s.
Yeah.
There's no British commercial sort of passenger operators of the 767 now.
Yeah, we've said a few times on the show that it does seem that aviation is getting smaller and quieter. We tend to say the smaller aircraft doing the transatlantic stuff and everything. I mean, apart from the A350 on a wet day, you don't really get much excitement from the noise of aircraft anymore, do you?
Yeah. They are getting a lot of nice looking planes, though, I will say, like A220, especially from Airbus, right?
Yeah.
But, it is getting very efficient, isn't it? And very elegant, and I don't know, because I think as well with things like the Max and the A320 Neos and stuff, as a passenger, I suppose you could say the same for the Dreamliner and stuff, as a passenger, it's quiet, it's sophisticated, it's calm, it's smooth. And that is a good thing for passengers, but obviously us plane spotters, we want the opposite. We want the big, loud things screaming down the runway.
Yeah.
Well, on YouTube, there's they've got it's Boeing that produced it, and it's the Dreamliner versus a Boeing 707 takeoff.
Okay.
And have a look at it. It is absolutely amazing because people forget how noisy, the old Boeing 707s, DC-8s were. I mean, they were noisy.
Really noisy, yeah.
And they're
smoky
getting quieter.
as well, nice smoky departures.
Yeah.
Because we see it sometimes at Vancouver. When the old prop aircraft are coming in, they do a lot of the Convair.
Yeah.
And you just see how much smoke's coming out the back of the engine. You just think, wow, that was just normal back in the day.
I know, and that was what we had, the old 747s and everything. And the old 737-200s, I mean, crackle, when they used to take off. Very noisy. And I think people forget how quiet it's become now.
Yeah.
But obviously it's... there's still a lot of regulations for noise regulations. And this is the interesting as you go around the world. In some countries, the environmental issues with respect to noise and things are just not really on the agenda. And yet in Europe, it's really high on the agenda. I mean, Manchester Airport have a community relations department. They have noise monitoring within that. And they will actually work with the airlines that I think when I was there, I'm sure it's still the same, they'd give an award to the airline that actually stays on the noise preferential route, and sticks to it. They would even fine airlines as well. And what they would do with the money is they would plough that back into the local community, like noise insulation schemes for the local communities and things like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I know, especially when we're on 05s, there's a lot more concern, isn't there, with regards to the aircraft coming in over the populated areas. But I guess even on 2-3s, there's a lot of population over on that side.
A lot of it is people getting used to it, because I've spoken to the guys just recently in community relations, and they say they do get an increase in complaints on easterlies on 05 like with today, because people are not used to being overflown, because it's only about 20% of the time on easterlies, the rest of it's 80% on westerlies, and the people get used to it. I mean, I love it on easterlies because I get departures that go over my house.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, but I probably, not the norm. A lot of people don't like it.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like Heathrow and stuff, you got like houses going right up to basically the edge of the runway and stuff, and it must be mad to live in them houses where you've got like constant like heavy aircraft going out above. I know they do their bit, don't they? At Heathrow, they swap the runways every week or so, or the orientation of mornings and evenings.
Yeah.
Amsterdam is quite I mean, I'm sure that loads that do sort of creative ways to abate the noise, but Amsterdam have them big fields, don't they, with the waves on it to dissipate the noise surrounding the airfield, and obviously noise abatement procedures on the actual aircraft as well.
I think the other one is Milan as well. Milan Malpensa, that is. They actually changed their runways, and they will, sort of just to even it out. We can't really do that here because you have to land on the first runway you come to. So you land on 05 right, depart 05 left, and then 23 right land, 23 left depart. So we can't really do it, and it's been designed like that because they're closely spaced parallels. I'll give you a fact now. If the runways are more than 1,035 metres apart, then they can operate independently. as they get closer, it's more of a dependent operation, which is what we have here.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll see aircraft sort of sidestep over and land on 2-3 left, but it's so rare. It's one of those things as a plane spotter where it's on my kind of bucket list, I guess, to see that and head up, because I know sometimes if there's like emergency repairs being done on the runway, they might land a few aircraft over there, but just being there and catching that is so rare, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I bet it's something else.
I have actually, my claim to it, I have actually landed on 2-3 left and taken off on 0-5 right.
Have you?
Wow.
Yeah. That was when we were doing the proofing flights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say taking off on 0-5 right would be super rare, wouldn't it? And when you said you was in the planning with 0-5 right, was there any reason for the lack of parallel taxiway along there? Because was it just because it? I don't know. It wasn't needed, or
it was mostly the Bolin.
Right.
Because just to explain to everybody, at the end of 2-3 right, there's quite a steep drop down into a river valley, and of course they had to then produce, sort of a tunnel for the river to go through, and of course that would have meant also a tunnel. Also for the road that goes through there, and that would have meant a wider tunnel to accommodate the taxiway. So that was one of the reasons. And if you go over the far side, as the perimeter road drives around, it actually dips down, so that the vehicles are actually underneath the level of the grass, and that was so to keep them clear of the obstacle limitation surfaces.
Right. So there you go. So it's just down to the area. I mean, does that historically cause many issues? I don't think it causes too much grief, does it?
No, not really, because obviously it does cause a problem if we have to do an emergency closure of the runway 1. But runway 2 is like a secondary runway, which it is. Yeah. And the only time we operate off that really is at night when we're doing repairs on runway 1.
And I think the only thing we've noticed in our time streaming that we thought, oh wow, that's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? Was the time when the aircraft got blocked there, didn't it? The brakes seized or something.
Cathay.
On the Cathay, and then the aircraft had already passed the taxiway here, so they were essentially they couldn't get past at that point. And then we thought, oh, that's so rare, like that's not gonna. And then about a week or two after, it happened again, didn't it, with something else? And you just say, hold on, that was rare once, never mind twice. But has that ever come up? Is that something that happened before we were here?
No, I mean, things do happen, but it's pretty rare. And I think it's just one of those. It's just happened to be close proximity, but no, it is rare.
That was super rare, wasn't it? But I mean, have you been involved in any sort of? I know you said you were working with Dubai, and that's like such a huge international hub now. Was you involved in the early stages of Dubai, or would you come along a bit later?
It's all post 2005 when we formed Airport Solutions is really where I got involved with Dubai. So not the early stuff, but obviously the later stuff.
Because that's just become such a huge hub.
Well,
for
I think it's for international passenger-wise, it's the busiest in the world, and it overtook Heathrow, which had that top spot for years and years. But of course, it's because they've got this massive A380 fleet, so they've got loads of passengers. But of course, you still can't touch. Atlanta is still the busiest when you factor in, the US market, when you factor in the domestic traffic.
Yeah,
it's massive.
It is, and just the trail of aircraft just leaving there when you look on flight radar is just insane.
It's phenomenal.
The size as well, that. And when I went to DFW, like I said, we were plane spotting at that Founders Plaza, and you got one of the runways in front of you, but the other runways are miles away. You're seeing the planes on the horizon landing on another runway. It's crazy how big these places can get, and it shows you how lucky we are at Manchester to have the two runways just here. We can just see them both clearly.
We are very lucky.
Yeah.
But the problem with that, of course, is the taxi times. And it's like the new Istanbul airport. It's an amazing airport, but the taxi times are just phenomenal. Same with Schiphol, and everything.
Yeah, Schiphol with that the Polderbahn. It's 20-minute taxi time or something crazy. It's probably longer than some of the flights that they have going into there.
Well, I know. I always make a joke when I'm doing the commentary, actually, sort of flight time to Amsterdam today is 50 minutes and taxi time was, The worst bit, though, is if the aircraft that you're sitting on, you're actually going to do a transfer and it's late and you taxi in and it's just the most stressful experience.
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just... our GoPro is overheated.
Oh,
really?
really?
There it goes.
There it goes. It'll happen at least once during a show, Debbie, at some point.
People in the chat just commenting how pretty I seen Lauren putting a message in about how pretty the moors look today with the snow on there too. Yeah. I've got a couple of clips from like this time last year when they were really snowed up, like they were glowing white.
I have to say, we do have a fantastic backdrop for photographs when you've got snow on the hill. It's really fantastic.
Yeah.
So the one you sent in yesterday was lovely of the Etihad.
Yes, yeah. That was gorgeous. The thing that stood out to me, I had to get like a picture, was you could see the snow like built, all the ice like blowing off the fuselage as it was going. And yeah, I had to come down yesterday. I was tempted to do a live show, but it was so quiet at the airport yesterday. I think it was just a lot of because of the disruptions and things, and things were running a bit slow. But no, it was a good day. I sort of caught the A380 and all the usual stuff. It was nice.
If I can just say, it wasn't ice coming off the side of the fuselage. It'll be the anti-icing fluid that was coming off the...
Right, yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, you get that on the runway as well, the spray as well. It looks so nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
How something so small can make so much noise, I have no idea.
I think this has come up a couple of times on the shows as well, just how loud these are. But another question people ask, which I think we've answered on the show before, but you may give a bit more info on it, is when we do our trips to Lanzarote, these will power back.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously at Manchester, they've always pushed. So I guess that's down to safety or the space between the stands, or...
Many, many years ago, you remember the wonderful British Aerospace ATP?
I don't.
Advanced turboprop. Nickname another technical problem. And we did when they were flying for BA and Manx as well. We did a few trials of power back, but it causes so much prop wash at the head of the stand. We felt no, it's no,
just not right.
Stop doing it.
Right. Okay. Wow.
But you can power back, but it does have safety implications. But at a small aerodrome like that, they probably don't have enough tugs. I don't know, and things. But so no, Manchester Airport doesn't do that.
And is that a case of it doesn't do it full stop, or if there was an issue with like getting ground equipment, would there be a possibility for an exception, or is that just point blank not allowed?
I think it would be the call of the duty manager, and it would have to be the last resort. That's the only way you can get the aircraft to move.
Yeah.
So I was once. It's when we had the South Bay many years ago. We had snow, and I actually said to the pilot, "I'm happy for you to power back because you're remote." And apparently, they Embraer 145s don't have reverse thrust, so they can't power back.
Oh. Yeah, because I think in like the Canary Islands, them Binter routes. Or also Canary Fly as well, they're so busy. Like they'll fly like 40, 50 flights a day on some routes. So I guess when it all adds up, doesn't it? Waiting for a tug every single time on a flight, that's literally 10, 15 minutes. I don't think it adds up. So yeah, that's probably a rare case scenario. But here at Manchester, they're usually like a good hour or so if you're going all the way to, I don't know, they're going to like Ireland or Dublin or up in the Highlands, like Inverness, Aberdeen, whatever. And they do add a lot of time on the journey using the ATRs over the jets, because they fly to like Isle of Man, don't they, as well? And there's a big difference between that versus just flying EasyJet on the time. Yeah, I mean they're a nice little workhorse. They're very, very popular. It's funny because, of course, when we had Flybe, we used to see Dash 8s all the time, and you just never see them anymore.
No, you don't, do you? I think is it Luxair that are looking at coming?
April, hopefully.
Hopefully we'll see some more. Because I don't know what it is about the Dash 8s. I think they look a lot better than the ATRs, in my opinion. I really like them. Really like them.
They have a bit more personality, don't they? The ATRs, like I said, workhorses. They look very utilitarian, just a fuselage, some props, and that's kind of it. And
they can also operate onto non-paved runways as well.
Oh, right. Oh, the Dash 8s?
No, the ATRs.
ATRs, wow. I didn't know that.
Oman Air used to fly the ATR 42, and they used to fly them down into the little desert airstrips feeding the oil companies.
Wow.
And I've flown on those loads of times into little desert airstrips.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. So they, and it's a shame now because they've actually withdrawn them and they've actually replaced them with the Embraers. I think it's the 175 that they've replaced them with. And so all of the little desert airstrips that they used to fly into, they've all closed, and they've actually now just got 4 airports that are being used, 3 by Petroleum Development Oman and 1 by Occidental in the interior. And it's not nearly as exciting as it used to be.
A couple people in the chat have been asking, like, who's the guest? I know the mods have been on it explaining. This is
sorry, the camera's off at the minute. I'm just fixing it.
No problem. This is Debbie Riley. She's the chair of the Aviation Society, which we speak about a lot here on the channel. You also are a airport consultant or airspace. What would you explain it as? A aviation consultant who works globally. Also was the duty manager here at Manchester Airport, and also a fighter controller for the RAF. As well in the past. So she's got a wealth of knowledge. Any question you can imagine to do with airports, airspace, or just aviation in general, give her an ask, because she's a real wealth of knowledge. And of course worked very closely with the channel for a while now as well. As you know, Airliners Live, very proud to work alongside the Aviation Society. It's one of the reasons why we have such an awesome streaming location here at the Runway Visitor Park, as well as all the events that they have through the summer here at the RVP. And as we spoke about earlier in the stream, if you want to rewind, if you missed it, we spoke about a lot about how TAS sort of helped form the RVP and made it what it is today. And we're very grateful for all of that. And it's awesome to have Debbie on the show finally, because I don't think she's ever been on the show before. I think you've been on maybe once for the charity show for a little bit.
I've had a quick chat on sometimes when we've seen things, but I haven't actually been formally on it, no. So it's actually nice to be here with you, actually. It's interesting to watch you guys operate, because normally if I'm here, I'm busy commentating.
Yeah. We do, obviously, the Wednesday show. This is much more chilled than the Sunday show. The Sunday show is like all bells and whistles. We've got Matt over on T1, of course, filming as well. We've got like a lot more going on, and there's usually about double the viewers as well, so it's usually a lot more chaos in the chat, and it's a much longer show as well. So the Wednesday show is our kind of experience, our chance to kind of chill and just enjoy some planes and hang out.
Yeah, it allows us to chat to guests a little bit more as well on the Wednesday show, which is always nice. I think we've got the camera back now. There we go. We're on the other side though, just so I can have it out the window and it don't make you freeze to death with it wide open.
It's actually nice and warm in here. We're very lucky because the old commentary box, of course, it didn't have any heating. And post-COVID, we had to keep the windows open for health and safety reasons.
I remember that. I remember you emailing me saying, if you want to be in the commentary box, you have to have all the windows open. I went, yikes. Yikes.
But we've now got air conditioning and heating in here, so in the summer we're nice and cool, and in the winter we're nice and warm. So it's actually a lot better.
It is.
So I think we're very lucky with this box. It's great.
I think we've kind of said quite a lot of the times on the show just how sort of influential Peter was in the channel's progress and where we are today and everything like that. And he was a big champion for the channel and always kind of available on the phone, and as yourself as well, obviously with advice and stuff. And I guess that's how we got involved with this today, because we do get a few questions. How did you get in there, and how did this begin, and how did that begin? But it really did kind of come through Peter, didn't it? I think
absolutely. I think you just I think you helped us out in an event and something, and then we got to know you.
Yeah, we don't talk too much about that event, do we?
No, anyway, and then of course then you started streaming, and then we had the commentary box, and then you approached Peter, had a chat to Peter, and they said yes. And then, so Andy used to be strapped on the side there.
Yeah.
I mean, normally what happens, I'll come in on a Sunday and I'm doing commentary. All I ever see is a pair of legs of Andy's. Don't see the rest of him. He comes down, I think, it's attached to a body as well. But that's how, and it was definitely Peter that sort of, encouraged you and everything. And I think it's great. But and I think now we've got this bigger box. It's with a hole in the roof. It's ideal.
It's really good, isn't it? And it just kind of allows us to get that elevation as well, which is super important, without kind of being in everybody's way on the mound as well is important.
Yeah, of course.
But so when you worked at the airport alongside Peter, I know he spoke about the the football final, which had...
UEFA Champions League final. Yes, I remember it well.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
Is there anything that kind of sticks out in your mind as maybe like an alternate memory to that you really enjoyed working with Peter on, or you had a really good memory, of doing that?
Well, I remember working 24 hours.
Wow.
And I came in, I think, 7 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to make everybody aware. I was actually in the old ops tower, which is not in use anymore. I was actually in there for the whole thing. I wasn't actually doing anything out on the airfield. I did go out on the airfield, but somebody drove me, because I think that working that long is too long.
Yeah.
But there were two of us that did that, one on the terminal side, one on the airfield side, just because we've been involved so intensely in all the planning. And a lovely aeroplane.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. And I remember doing 24 hours, and I spoke to air traffic in the morning, first morning, and then it was a lady called Karen, the tower supervisor, and then the next day I spoke to her again. She said, "Oh, have you only just come into work yet?" And I said, "I haven't been home yet."
Wow.
But it was, I think the most amazing part, one of the most amazing parts, was the biz jets in the evening. We actually had the engine test bay full of aircraft, biz jets, and literally there was just one after the other, ping, 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 and they just went. And within an hour, most of them had gone. It was actually amazing, really, that they went. But we had aircraft everywhere, and I don't think that we would do it today like that. But
it just seems such a monumental, I guess obviously it's such a big event, but a huge job and a huge task and a lot of disruption as well. And
yeah,
I just can't imagine that happening today. I don't know why. It
wouldn't happen today, no. And I think that it was actually, everything was planned. We only had 2 weeks because you didn't know who the two finalists were. And we said the worst case scenario would be basically two football teams from the same country. Mm-hmm. And we ended up with two football teams from the same country. And it was quite amazing. So we had one lot routing in one way, one lot the other way, and we had one of the approach controllers, and he was ex-Heathrow, and basically the guy who was in charge, John Proudlove, who was in charge of ATC here at the time, he then went on to Heathrow, which is a big job, and he just said to this guy, go and sort it out, the approach. And it was touch and go, but we managed to get everybody off the aircraft, and nobody missed the game.
That's such a big achievement, isn't it?
It was, actually. It was amazing.
And seeing the pictures from it, it's just crazy. Seeing the aircraft just parked up all the way along the runway on the south side.
And I saw some amazing marshalling as well. So it was a good day, and it was it went to plan. I think it's a good job it was a nice sunny day. If it had been absolutely bucketing down, I think it wouldn't have been as easy. And if we'd had fog, we'd have been absolutely scuppered. But the main thing was, when we had the last few flights coming in, was to get everybody off and get the buses out and get them out on time. There was one rather amusing one in the terminal building. There was a young lad that fell asleep in the lift and spent the whole night going up and down. I think the beer and things, he could have had a contributory effect on that, but that was quite an amusing one.
Couple of people asking about the old tower. I think the police use that now, do they?
No, it's not used at all. There was a plan to put... when I was a duty manager, we used to be based in there with Apron Control. Apron Control are now based, but just the level below the VCR. And there was a plan to put airfield ops back in there. I think that was pre-COVID, but I'm not sure what's happened since then. But it was a fantastic view, because you as a duty manager, you could see everything that was going on, and that was really useful.
Wow, that's great. It's like you say, it's still available to be used. Because I always thought the police were in there for some reason. I'm not sure. And a couple of people in the chat said the same thing, so maybe there's a little rumour going around that. I
don't think so. Not that I've heard. But it was. I remember being on duty there one night, and there was this. Well, I can only say it was a boom, and that was like the air conditioning, and a contractor off the airfield had gone through the main power line, and the whole thing just went black.
Wow.
And I remember running all the way downstairs, get on the runway straight away. That was my first thing. Of course, the uninterrupted power supply kicks in for the airfield. So the approach lights kicks in, and for an aerodrome like Manchester with a Cat 3 ILS, the changeover time is 1 second, which is pretty fast. everything was okay, the runway was fine, everything else, we were doing follow-me's for the aircraft. But we got the aircraft in, but we couldn't get the passengers off because we couldn't get the bridges on. So it was the terminal that was struggling, not the airfield.
Wow. So that is like redundancies for absolutely everything in place. And I mean, what would happen, I guess, in the event of like, I know it's happened before with ATC where like fire alarms have gone off or some sort of emergency in the tower there. How does then the airfield fall back onto plan B in that?
Well, basically, I think it would be a case of close.
Right.
Yeah.
So just everything into the hold.
Yeah. And divert, that's all that would happen. We used to, many, many years ago, have a little caravan down there that they would go to. But, I mean, to be honest with you, it was pretty useless. You couldn't do anything with it. So, and I think it got wind damaged. It blew over or something.
Was that like them little red and white ones that they still use at like RAF Valley and stuff today, like that sort of style?
I think it was even smaller than that. I mean, but yeah. And so it was scrapped. So I think it would be closed.
If you have got any questions, folks, in the chat, we've got Debbie with us today. Debbie's had a wealth of aviation jobs, including airfield duty manager at Manchester Airport. She's currently a managing director of the aviation consultancy firm and also currently the chair of the Aviation Society as well. So if you do have any questions, folks, in the chat, today's the day to really get them sort of, I guess, like technical questions in, isn't it? Because it's not very often that either we know the answer or we're able to get the answer for you guys. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to let us know in the chat. How are you looking up there today then, Brownie?
Yeah, not too bad. It's lovely being in the sun. You kind of forget how cold it is when you're out in the sun, don't you? And then days like today, if there is a cloud, the sun goes behind it and it's just freezing for a couple of seconds. And then, no, it's really pleasant out here today. It's a bit quiet on the airfield today, isn't it?
I was just thinking that myself.
It's definitely a lot more quieter than last week. Kevin has asked, do you know anything? I mean, just to be clear, Debbie's not working at the airport anymore, guys, so anything sort of current day, she probably won't know, but saying, do you know anything about the Premier Terminal?
The Premier Terminal, there is talk about it reopening this year. I think it's towards the back of the year, maybe October time, but there is nothing firm as yet, but that is the thinking at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing we noticed was there was jobs advertised for it specifically.
Oh, really?
So that's all we have. Like you said, there doesn't seem to be anything official about it. And I think it was open up until the pandemic started, wasn't it? It was open.
Yes, it was. Because our last speaker at the TAS Social was a gentleman called Mert, who was actually in charge of that. And he came to speak to us about it and what they were doing and everything else. And that was it. He's now in charge of, looks after a lot of the lounges Manchester Airport run.
Oh, yeah.
All right, then, just touching down next on 05 operations. Right now in from Dublin, just a 32-minute flight for that one.
It is nice them being on 05s. I remember back in June last year when they were on 05s for like the whole month almost.
Yeah.
It is really nice.
I've just had a text message from a friend of mine, Roy. Hello, Roy. He's watching us live, and he says hello to you guys as well.
Hey, Roy. Thanks very much for tuning in, mate.
Hello.
And I guess with regards to 05s, it's just not... It's really not in use anywhere near as much as 23s, is it? So for that to be on 05s for... I'm sure it was over a month or about
it was about a month.
It's very unusual indeed, because it's just 20% usually that we see 05. But... it's incredibly quiet at the moment. They did well yesterday. I don't think they lost any traffic, and there was snow clearing and everything and stayed open. So I think the ops team did a great job. I was looking at it in flight radar, and you could see ice, all the call signs of all the the ice clearing, the anti-icing vehicles and everything. So
Ollie's saying if you could bring back any aircraft, what would it be?
The Vulcan bomber.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just so amazing. They really are. I only have one aircraft model at home, and that's the Vulcan bomber.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We have
We've
a lot,
collected quite a few, unfortunately.
Unintentionally, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. I'll just grab that one. Before you know it, you've got a whole room full of them.
Well, exactly. And then you have to dust them, and I don't like dusting. So
yes, yeah.
I don't. I try to keep minimalist, really.
Yeah.
And DKE just asking, again, kind of like a you might know, you might not. Do you think Manchester would ever see US pre-clearance like some of the other airports across the EU do?
I believe that's one of the things that they did consider when they were looking at T2. But I think it's quite costly to do that because, of course, all the immigration officials are from the US and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe going forward, I'm not sure. It would be useful because, as we all know, if you've been to the US, sometimes the queues can be horrendous. And I remember transferring through Newark, and I was flying from Montego Bay to Newark to Manchester. And we actually got to the queue at immigration, and they don't prioritise you. So in the end, what we did, we just said, "Excuse me, can we just, excused ourselves and went to the front." And we did the same at security, and we just made the flight. If we hadn't done that, we would have
just missed it
completely.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to where was it? Did you ever go to visit the Vulcan at Sheffield? Asking Gizmondo on the chat.
No, I haven't. No. I know the one at Woodford, obviously, and the one at Coventry, but no, I haven't.
And I guess something that we get asked a lot, which Nigel has kind of touched on in the chat, do you have an opinion regarding the broadcast of ATC in the UK? Obviously, that's a feature. I'd say if we get asked for any feature, it's like, can we hear the ATC? Can you? Because we have competitors in the US who have the ATC on for the whole show, essentially, and obviously in the UK. We're not allowed to do that. Do you think that's like a kind of a rule that's kind of been lost in the mass, or do we still think that's an intentional? That's even today they're looking at it going, yeah, we still need that. That's important.
I honestly don't know. I mean, it is. I know that we're not allowed to use it, but many people have scanners and many people listen in.
Yep.
So I don't see how it can be very secret because it's we listen to it when we're doing the commentary because it's often useful because you can hear things going on.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but there's just not enough motive to change that law, is it? Like, there's no real reason to not have that law other than just us being nosy. Just wanted to know what's going on.
So I don't think it will change, no.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
And Phil, just wondering, are there any thoughts on why Leeds-Bradford seems to struggle so much when Manchester operations are hardly affected at all? I guess you mean in terms of like fog and stuff like that, Phil, with diversions and stuff. Is it not something to do with the I think there's this valley around there or something?
Well, it's actually stuck on top of a hill, so it's very, very high. So it's very prone to sort of bad weather and things like that. So it's just its location basically, because it's stuck on top of a hill. I went to speak to Air Yorkshire in January actually, and we do that from Leeds Bradford. And it's just perched on top of the hill, and I think that's the reason why. So they often get bad crosswinds and stuff, and they're also going to be more prone to snow because it's quite high.
Yeah. It's. I think we've had a few diversions fairly recently, haven't we? Coming
indeed.
in from that area.
If you ever see that, what is it? The Jet 2737, isn't it? It's one of the older generations that pop up like a 600 series or something like that.
I think it's
or a 700, is it?
I can't remember. Yes, it is a smaller one.
Yeah, it's one of them, and if that pops up, something's going on at Leeds.
Yeah.
And Audrey just remembering that she lived in Cosford when they flew the Vulcan in to go on the static display. An amazing couple of days, and her house was right underneath the flight path.
Yes.
So that's would be.
And that is noisy. It really does, make you sort of. It shakes the whole ground. I think that's why I think it's quite great.
I do wonder, like Coningsby, for example, I like going there. And there's obviously Coningsby, the town, is right there as well. And, we were talking about noise abatement at airports, but, man, these RAF bases, they are properly loud. And
it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great, yeah. Luckily, the people I spoke to who were spotting there, some of them local actually lived in Coningsby, very jealous. They loved it, but I can imagine some of the residents, if you get residents around here that complain about Manchester Airport, imagine there where you got the QRAs and you got the typhoons flying every weekday pretty much.
Put me at the end of the runway.
Yeah, that's it, I wouldn't mind.
Have you tried Lakenheath and Mildenhall?
Yes, I did it for my birthday a couple of years ago, and it was just amazing. I loved Lakenheath, but I enjoyed Mildenhall more, I think.
Yeah, it's Lakenheath, it's the fast jets, but of course at Mildenhall you've got that nice variety of stuff. You've got the KC-135s.
Really strange-looking aircraft as well, haven't you? As well, with them
Ospreys.
big noses, the Ospreys.
Yeah.
Herbert asking a question saying, what's the difference between airfield duty manager and ground controller? Saying Herbert, I suspect there's quite a bit of difference in
the
that
airfield duty manager is well, if I just explain it from a Manchester airport, because they do have different names for these things, but here at Manchester airport, the airfield duty manager works for the airport, and they are responsible for the airfield on a day-to-day basis. So if there is, God forbid, an accident or a full emergency or something like that, they will respond to that, and they will be in charge of organising, the response to that. They also bring an extra duty manager in for snow clearing. So yesterday we would have had 2 airfield duty managers in. One would have been in the back in the office, just liaising with everybody, and then the other one would have been out on the airfield with the team's snow clearing. So ground control, I think if you mean that's ATC, so they're actually talking to the aircraft, so they're actually controlling the aircraft on the manoeuvring area and everywhere. So the duty manager will not be speaking to the aircraft.
And so in terms of obviously looking after the airfield, does that literally just blanket, so making sure that taxiways are clear, making sure that everything's sort of maintained, and like you say, the emergency side of things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for example, it's a mandatory requirement to undertake a minimum of 2 inspections in a 24-hour period for an airport the size of Manchester. Now, they'll be doing more than that. They'll probably be doing about 4 or 5 in a 24-hour period. But the duty manager, can delegate that to a safety officer, for example, but they're responsible for making sure they happen. If there's work in progress, the duty manager will be overseeing that, making sure that the contractors are operating as they should, they're not doing anything unsafe. If you're doing, for example, work on the runway, they will be responsible for making sure that runway is safe to operate and to open. So it's quite a responsible job, really.
Yeah.
And the thing that I liked about doing that so much was you'd go into work and you would not know what was going to happen. It could be completely different, and you'd come into work, especially in the winter, we had work in progress and things like that, and you would be busy all night. It was quite funny because in the terminals they were the opposite way around. They would be more busy in the summer because of the holiday flights and things. So, but it was a really interesting job because you just didn't know what you were going to, what would happen.
No, it's really interesting, isn't it? And like you say, it's just always changing, adapting to different situations and stuff like that, which I guess is just one of those jobs. I mean, it's transferable skills, isn't it, for anything that sort of job. And you were also the first lady airfield duty manager as well.
I was indeed, yes, which caused quite a stir. Oh, this woman did. Oh my gosh! And I was asked some very strange questions. Things like, "What are you going to wear?" Well, what do you mean, what am I going to wear?
Clothes.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the, obviously they give you your kit and everything. One of the things that they gave me was this, it was like a onesie, but furry onesie. And I said, I am not wearing that. There's no way I'm wearing that. I'll tell you, when we were doing the runway resurfacing in the winter, I wore my onesie because it was so warm.
That's great. I mean, how was the... I guess for you that's like a huge achievement, and what was the process like for getting that job? Was it something that you'd always kind of aspired to do, or did you just see the opportunity and jump at it?
I wanted to do the job because I got my foot in the door in planning, and in my first week when I was here, I went and visited different departments. I went up to ATC and spent some time with them, just part of your familiarisation. And and I also spent a day with Ops 3, the airfield duty manager, and the duty manager on that day, of course, was Peter Hampson.
Yeah.
So that's the first time I met Peter, and I thought that I want this job, and that's the job I wanted. And so when a position came vacant, I applied for the job and everything, and I got it.
That's great, isn't it? And then you were fortunate, like you say, to work with Peter, I guess, for quite a long period of time on there, and then you both eventually then went over to Airport Solutions, didn't you?
Yeah, basically we formed the company together.
That's awesome.
So so it was. I enjoyed that. It was a great job. But I did kind of move on because I didn't stay as that. I ended up with the duty manager reporting to me as I was policy and planning manager. So it's quite a big remit there. But it was quite nice because you still had involvement on the airfield. And our Friday afternoon treat was to drive out onto the airfield and have a look round, which was always actually good because you could just keep an eye on what was happening.
Yeah. No, that's great. And we do see them on the shows regularly as well, driving around. It will say airfield duty manager on the vehicle. And I guess they're just going around attending to all the different things that are going on. I mean, when you see them out on the airfield, is there usually something they're doing, or is it, like you say, just such a huge range of...
Sometimes it'd just be a case of getting out onto the airfield just to keep, just to make sure that you're happy with what you're seeing. So, but they're also doing a formal inspection as well, because whenever there's an inspection that's done, you will have to, if it's a runway inspection, for example, you have to record that. And of course, that record, if there is an accident or an incident, may actually be called in as part of the investigation. So it is important that you record that. If it's not written down, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
No.
So, that's one of the things. And of course, the last thing you want is FOD on the runway.
Yeah.
And so if you do an inspection and there's an incident, it may well be, when was the last inspection? How often are they done? So it will be scrutinised. I
know you've spoke a couple of times when you've been doing the commentary about wildlife prevention around the airport as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Dublin, when we went and did a stream there, we just could not believe how many birds there was. so many, whereas in Manchester you really don't see that. You see crows here and there, as you would.
Or that flock of geese that might fly over occasionally as well.
Did you see the hares at Dublin?
I think I've seen... Yeah, I think so, actually. Come to think of one or two.
They've got quite a lot there.
Yeah. It's not quite what we've seen in Vancouver. What was it we've seen? Was it like...
Coyote. It was a coyote.
Coyote airside.
Yeah.
We
That's
thought
cool.
If that was in Manchester, that'd be the whole airfield closed. But over there, it was like, it's just a coyote. He's just airside.
Well, they had some flamingos here once, didn't they? They flew off and nobody knew where they came from.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, bird control is important. So what at Manchester, what they do is they have like one staff member, they can actually put more on if they need them, will be allocated to bird scaring duties on a shift. And so all of the safety officers are trained in bird scaring duties, and they have a number of things. They've got bird distress calls. They have, I'm not sure, I think they've got lasers here now, which don't hurt the birds, but it certainly is very effective. They've got bird scare cartridges, and you can, in a variety. And of course, the most effective thing is get out the vehicle.
And flap your arms.
And flap your arms, yeah, absolutely.
We've always said the birdman job or the bird lady job looks like the most fun job for a week, and then you're just going to be infuriated because they just keep coming back, don't they? You scare them off 2 minutes later, they come back and you just think, if only I had a bullet.
But I mean, it is important because Air France successfully sued Marseille Airport, this is going back quite a few years now, for €3 million because they had a dead hedgehog on the runway and it was attracting in birds.
Wow.
And it was said that they should have noticed the birds, they should have removed the carcass of the hedgehog. So that's something to think about. So, you do get fox strikes out there and things like that you have to deal with.
It is surprisingly quiet at Manchester Airport in terms of birds. Like you said, you get the odd bird here, but you'd think would have been such a big, there's not a populated area, should we say. You'd think it'd be full of wildlife, but they do a good job, and they do things like, I guess, cutting the grass and stuff.
Yeah, that's one of the main things, isn't it? You said the grass needs to be...
Yeah, it's about 20 centimetres. And what that does is the birds, when they sort of land, the grass is so long they can't see predators coming, but they also can't get to their food. So habitat management is probably 80% of wildlife hazard management.
Wow.
So that it is important. Of course, you can't get grass everywhere. In the Middle East, you can't. You've got sand. But, so it is, and I think that's why, because if you look out there, it's in pretty good condition, that grass. And if you look here, the grass is short in the park, and we have a lot more birds here than they do just over the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, a bit of a relationship with the National Trust? Because they obviously have the land just south, don't they, with the whole south side area.
Yeah.
It's almost like a forest park, isn't it? I assume there's a lot of wildlife there. You see, like, say, hares and all sorts over there, but they don't tend to come on over this side, or
what's to attract them? The whole idea is that you have a very unattractive airport for birds, and that's why you have a monoculture. If you don't want lots of clover in there, because that would attract pigeons and things like that. So you just want the grass as it is, like this, and it's far more attractive to stay in the woods at the south side than it is to come over here.
Yeah. So there's even a process of thinking what sort of plants and stuff are around. It's so in depth in it, you don't realise.
BRB.
No worries. And Matt Smith with a bit of a less serious question says he's going to ask, what's Debbie's favourite order from the RVP cafe?
My favourite order? Oh, gosh. I like the chicken tikka sandwiches. They're quite nice. But the pizza's pretty good as well, isn't it?
I don't have the pizza. I've never had it.
Oh, because you can't,
I
can
can't
you?
have cheese, but
yeah.
I'll give it a go when I got a week off. I think that'd be quite nice. But yeah, no, it is. I think for me, it's definitely the bacon and egg. Definitely bacon and egg. Let's have a quick flick through the chat and see what we got going on. How come there's so many police at the RVP today? I don't know. It's been happening quite regularly recently. I don't know if they've got a bit of like a meet-up or something. I don't know.
I think there was a request for them to use the Monarch DC-10, so it could be to do with that, just for some training purposes.
Because we've seen it for the last few weeks. Around lunchtime, they tend to come up and enjoy the planes.
And I think they just come along because they can, and it's a nice place to be, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And have their lunch here, so why not?
Let's have a quick flick through the chat.
Many years ago, again, it's when I was here at Duty Manager at Manchester, and we had the police, and I think it was police just doing some training, and they were doing like some anti-terrorist training, and so they were dressed all in black, you know, like the SAS do, gas masks on. They had guns as well, and I got a phone call, and they were driving around on the apron, you know, and practicing, you know, sort of, you know, and things like that. And I got a phone call from a handling agent who said to me, "There's people on the airfield that aren't wearing high vis." So you're not worried about the guns and everything, you're just worried about high vis.
Doesn't have his high vis on. That's classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there is kind of a lot of training that goes on as well. But is it a case of you try and get people onto the airfield to get hands-on training as much as you can? Because obviously there is a risk in that as well, isn't there? But I guess you kind of do learn more whilst you're on the job when you're out on the airfield as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, you do your training and, you know, like, you know, classroom training for people. But then, of course, you have to put that training into practice. So what will often happen is you go out and you know, it depends on who you are and what training you've had. But, like, typically when you're a duty manager, you go out and you shadow another duty manager. So you do your theory training, but you have to put it into practice. And when you're driving out on the airfield, if you drive at night, the first time I drove at night, it was amazing. It was so disorientating. It looks completely different. And then, of course, you've got to learn to drive in fog and things like that. So you do have to get out there as well. And because, of course, you know, you need to be competent as well as trained. Training doesn't mean you're competent.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a case of hands-on experience as well, isn't it? And so in a quick flick through, I mean, with regards to airport spotters as well, because I know there's a scheme, isn't there, that runs around the airfield at the moment. I don't know how long it's been going for. It's the Airport Watch scheme.
The Airport Watch scheme, yeah. And
is that a case of the airport kind of working with spotters as not necessarily like a security role, but just it's good to have an extra pair of eyes, isn't it? I think we spoke on it on the last week's show. Yeah,
it's actually a joint task GMP, Greater Manchester Police, and the passes for the watch scheme are produced by the pass office here at the airport, and so you basically can join the watch scheme, and you get a pass, and the police like it because they know that the spotters can see something that doesn't look right. Mm-hmm. You know, they'll notice somebody who's not really, you know, a spotter, and so basically they're encouraged to report anything they think is suspicious to the police.
Yeah, and it's just a scheme that I know Charlie took advantage of when he was with us. It's something I've said about 20 times I need to sort out and I keep forgetting.
Well, my pass has run out and I keep saying I need to sort it out and I never get round to it.
Maybe we should do it after the show. We'll fill the paperwork out. But is that something that's like a Manchester thing, or is that more airports? I
believe it is in place at other airports. I'm not too sure where, but I know that another airport contacts, you know, spotter, Aviation Society contacted us some time ago just to see how, you know, whether they could implement it. But I think it's good because GMP do have a good relationship with TAS and the airport as well. So I think it's nice to maintain that.
Yeah, and like I say, it's just good for airport security in general, isn't it? Yeah. I think obviously spotters are sitting there for a few hours every day at all different parts of the airport, and it's quite regular when we're out filming or something for the guys to drive past and give you a wave and everything like that, just letting on, which is awesome.
I mean, I mentioned behind the scenes tours. We've done a behind the scenes tours to Greater Manchester Police. police station here a couple of times, because they also have their what's called silver control. So that's where, if there was an incident, that is the control centre that would be opened up, and the airport would go there. Members of the airport would go there. So just to go and have a look at the facilities in there and what they have and everything.
And we've had displays from the fire service quite a few times here at the RVP. I think you guys have organised as well. When we had the emergency landing with the fumes event, I think it was it Sunday's show?
It was Sunday because I was at Leeds Bradford, and it pinged up on my airport app.
Yeah,
so I knew about it.
They had that there, but then when we were leaving, and it may be a coincidence, but as I was leaving, I saw a lot of fire engines kind of coming away from the airport. And is that a case of, obviously at the airport you've got the crew based here, but then on an event like that, would they bring in from outside as well?
Yes, indeed. It's basically, if it's a full emergency, the outside fire service will also respond. And they won't go onto the airfield. There's a couple of rendezvous points that we have, and ATC will say which one it is. They will go to the rendezvous point and they will sit there, and if something does go wrong and it turns into an accident, crash, then they will then be escorted in to assist our fire service as well. So that's actually quite common. You will see them turning out. And it's a mandatory requirement to have an emergency planning group that's established at airports. So at Manchester, they have an emergency planning group, and then that's also split into subgroups. So they have one for the terminals and one for the airfield. So typically when I was in airfield ops, we would have a meeting, and we would have the outside fire service come into those meetings, the ambulance as well. Hospitals would also attend and things like that. So it's emergency planning is quite a significant part of an airport's response, because you have to have a response, because you don't know, it could happen.
And you're kind of looking from a risk point of view as well. You're bringing people in to a security controlled area, obviously in a rush to, I don't know whether you've got someone from, say, the ambulance who are coming in to look after a passenger, but there's got like the security process there to get them airside so they can get to the aircraft and stuff.
There's two parts to the airfield. There's the restricted zone, which is where the aircraft are parked and things like that, and that's where the aircraft are open. They're open, therefore they're vulnerable. The airfield, like outside here, is called the control zone, and so there's a lesser security requirement. So, for example, if you're doing a resurface, you can put them in through a separate security. You don't have to put them in through the terminals.
Right.
So that it does work a little bit differently.
Lovely little biz jet.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that we're really looking at with Manchester overall, I'd say, is just the variation in traffic as well.
Yeah. It's nice to see the biz jets, because that gives a little bit of, variety, really, from the 7.3s. But at the moment, it's pretty quiet, and I'm not surprised we've hardly seen anything today.
That's it. Let me flick through these questions.
I noticed that it's always January where you have that really big lull in traffic levels, and especially here in Manchester and stuff.
But because it still is a very seasonal airport, isn't it? I mean, Heathrow's pretty much all year round, but it's a real spike in the summertime with everybody going on holiday.
A lot of people in the chat are saying how interesting today's stream is. I'm really glad you're enjoying it, guys. We've wanted to get Debbie on the stream for quite a while. It's just been a bit difficult to either align our schedules, or then the million happened. We're really glad we've been able to get Debbie on. A bit of a broader question just from Keith, saying, have there been any experiences from your time at the airport or with tasks that you've been able to pass on to help other airports? And it's been great to have you on as a guest, and really enjoyed your input from Keith in the chat.
Thank you. Well, I mean, through Airport Solutions, basically, yes, we have helped airports, because I've gone in to a number of airports and, sort of done audits and then made suggestions, for improvements or where they could improve. Made suggestions for training for the staff and things like that. And of course, I've written procedures for airports. I've done work in progress for airports around the world, and everything. So I suppose that's one way that you can go and help. And it's actually interesting, because the one thing you do often see is that the problems that airport have is the problems that all airports are facing. And it is quite challenging. I think also. I mentioned about Oman, and I've been involved in building 4 airports there, 4 runways there, and that was quite an interesting one, basically converting them from desert airstrip into a tarmac, sort of an asphalted tarmac runway.
Wow.
For jet operations. And I think the most challenging one was the last one I did, where we had to keep the runway open and operational and resurface it as well. And that was a real challenge. And our big concern was that on that one is we were asking the pilots to land on that piece of desert airstrip, but we had got this beautiful black tarmac that really showed up that they weren't allowed to land on. So we had to really think about that and make sure that we briefed everybody and that we didn't have any problems. That's
really interesting. Like your involvement as well, as you say, in just even bringing airports online or up to date as well is massive. And is it mainly like what would you say was your main role in that?
I've been involved in certification of aerodromes. Okay, so Dubai World Central is involved in that, and also the other ones in Oman, and I've assisted elsewhere. So it's having an understanding on that. But my areas of really expertise are aeronautical studies and risk assessment for non-compliance to aerodromes, and also aerodrome works as well.
So a lot of the really important stuff that kind of...
Yeah. Because, of course, aerodrome works, if you get it wrong and you don't pay enough attention to safety, it can have catastrophic, sort of results.
I know you said, obviously over here, we had a bit of a joke about the high vis and stuff like that, someone reporting that, and I'd say over in like the UK and especially the States and stuff, that sort of level of health and safety awareness from everybody is kind of like becoming quite normal over here. But do you still find that's kind of catching up over in the East? Like,
it's actually pretty much established in most places. There's just the odd place like that's really, that is not really caught up. But most places, Europe and a lot of places in Africa and things, it's really pretty much there.
Yeah, and was it always like that, or has that been kind of a bit of a slower process to come online?
No, it wasn't. When I came to work at Manchester, I was out on the ramp one day when I was in planning, doing some measuring, and a ramp agent came over and tried to put me on a plane to New York.
Oh.
Because I looked just like a passenger, apart from my pass that I had. I didn't have any high vis because we just didn't bother in those days, So that's quite a thought. Why would I want to get on a plane with a measuring wheel? I'm going to measure the but no, that just shows you how far we've come, and it started in the 90s, really, when safety management started to raise its head. And that was in response to lots of incidents and accidents. The 1980s is known as the decade of disasters. I'm not just talking about aviation, I'm talking about all industries. And it was a wake-up call everywhere, which is why safety management started to come on board.
Yeah.
And, and that's one of the things. So you mentioned about, say what safety management, well, I've got 2 weeks of training courses of just on safety management.
Yeah.
So it's a big job.
And I guess that's just like a normal process now for, as you say, you bring in these airports online, so they've got to go through all of these different processes to do that as well.
They're only just starting to formally introduce it into the US now as well.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Let's have another flick through the chat. Have you ever visited a small airport in the Caribbean, like Barbados or St. Vincent and the Grenadines, saying Faden Ferguson in the chat?
I've been to Cayman Islands. I've been to Nassau. Been to Port of Spain, and in April I'm going to Montego Bay.
Oh, very nice. That'll be a nice one.
One thing I'd love to do is St. Martin. The one with the beach.
Oh yeah,
the beach approach.
Well, when I go to Port of Spain, I think that's March time, I'm hoping to do KLM because they fly to Port of Spain via St. Martin.
Nice.
So I'd like to do that. The last time I actually tried to get there, though, with KLM, it was too expensive, so I had to go to Gatwick and go out with British Airways. And it's just a bit of a pain because we've got no shuttle service to Gatwick. We used to have, but we don't anymore. So, of course, you end up going down by train and things.
Yeah.
Lauren in the chat, you mentioned you get to do a lot of travelling, and you travel in first class as well, or business class. Do you have a favourite airline to fly with? Asked Lauren in the chat.
Not really. I have favourite airlines in the fact that I've had to use a certain airline quite frequently, so I've got really load of points with them, and you get gold cards. So at the moment, I've got my gold card with KLM. So my preference is to go with them. I quite like them anyway. They're a good airline. I enjoy them. So just to keep those points up, I got my Senator gold card with Star Alliance, which was really, really useful. But COVID scuppered that, so I've gone back to silver now. So because, I mean, you can use the lounges and things like that, even if you're in economy and stuff like that, which is really useful. So at the moment, I'm quite enjoying KLM. I used to be platinum with Emirates, which was great.
Yeah.
But I haven't flown with Emirates for ages. So it just depends on where you're going and what's the easiest route, you know what I mean?
How does that work? How can you lose the status then if you don't use them enough?
You do, yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal.
So I've lost my status with Emirates completely. I've gone down on that. KLM has said at the moment, if it carries on the way it is, I think I'm going to end up being a platinum with them very soon.
Nice. And Lee Davies, we do miss these two airlines. If you could only bring one airline back between Thomas Cook and Monarch, would you have one that you would choose?
Oh.
That's a difficult question.
It's a very difficult question. It's not one you can really answer, is it, really? I mean, I think I'd just say, well, Thomas Cook's, they did a lot of long hauls as well, didn't they?
I was going to say, I think with them, there was a lot of 330s operating at Manchester.
Yeah.
And when we lost Thomas Cook, that obviously happened while we were just starting the channel. And we noticed a huge drop in traffic for a little while. It was like, oh, hold on. Wow, they really kind of kept the shows.
It's like them and
going.
Flybe as well were the two that, you know, when we lost them.
We've lost both of them. It's really sad. And I think that the other thing as well is that since COVID, we've got no US carriers at all. And I can't. But I think a lot of it is because of codeshare. Because, of course, American codeshare with BA, Delta codeshare with Virgin. So it's kind of the routes that they were flying have been taken over by UK carriers. And Aer Lingus UK, of course, has popped in to do a few of the routes over the pond as well.
We get asked that a lot in the chat because we used to have American, United operating. Really not that long ago.
Well, when I was working here, we used to have Continental and Delta as well.
Yeah.
So, but there isn't anything on the horizon at the moment for the US carriers to come back. I say with the code share, I don't think there's any incentive in there.
Yeah, because if you want to fly to somewhere more specific, you'll get paired with like Virgin and Delta. You know, you fly to Atlanta. That's probably why Atlanta's quite a busy route for Manchester, is because you connect with Delta and then you can go on to wherever. And
then you've got the Delta network at your hands. And it's likewise if you go. If you go through with British Airways down to Heathrow and go out on either on theirs or even American themselves, you're hitting the American sort of market. So
what do you think changed there? Do you reckon people just want a cheaper flight and doing that kind of connecting flight works out a bit cheaper, or do you reckon there's something else at play as well?
I think it's probably mostly to do with. I think COVID just scuffed it, and I think when it came back, it's like. The airlines are struggling, and I think it's just the codeshare element just took over. So I think it's just the way it is now.
It's kind of reshuffled it a bit, really.
I mean, when I was working here, of course, British Airways had a massive European route, and they were flying the New York flight, daily New York, with the TriStar, which they just completely. I mean, the whole of T3 was designed around British Airways fleet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Again, it's one of them things, isn't it? It's just like, can you imagine streaming back then, mate? Just the difference. It would just be just be insane.
Yeah, there was that chap who sent some video footage from, it must have been the 90s, or maybe, I think it was the 90s, and he had a video camera that he borrowed from his school, and he was at the airport pub, and it was just endless, like a Qantas 747, Cathay Pacific,
Pakistan 74.
Yeah, just constant. You're like, wow, what the heck? Like, what happened to all that?
And Nigel from the Stockport Radio Society, who attends the task fairs quite a lot, is in the chat and says, it's been a really interesting discussion. Good afternoon, chaps and Debbie. I'm wondering if there's any airports you'd like to go to and haven't been to yet for either business or pleasure. From Nigel.
Well, just St Martin bucket list there, and
yes,
and St Bart's as well. Another bucket list because of the crazy approach.
Yeah. Like, how does that get approved? Do you know? Because I've tried that in a sim a few times, and I've been in the beach, the water, everything. That is horrible, isn't it?
No, it's the Caribbean is quite challenging because they've got these small islands and the runways are built, and they're just built up to the available land they've got.
Yeah,
and so they have very little option. It's either they have it or not. I mean, another one on my bucket list is Lukla in Nepal, of course, and that's the gateway to Everest. And I think it's got the reputation of being the world's most dangerous airport.
I think Noel Phillips did a video into there, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken on that, and it's really interesting. But
you can't go around. Is that the problem?
No, you can't. There's no missed approach.
Wow.
Because you dive yourself into the mountain. The weather can change really quickly, of course, and it's completely the slope of the runway. The strip is totally non-compliant because they can't. And also, I don't know whether you know, but if you want to get from one side of the village to the other, they cross the runway.
Yeah.
And there's a klaxon that sounds.
So I guess is that one of those situations where, I mean, it's, as you say, there's no go-around procedure, which is again massively concerning. I guess if you need to, and then, like you say, the public going across and stuff. Is that one of those situations where it's like, well, we want it, we're just going to put it in? And I mean, how do they get around that? Because I can't imagine that's even be allowed.
It's either there or it's not there, and it's carrying high risk, and there's no other way to do it. Because if they hadn't got the runway, how do you get into the place?
Yeah,
that's the only way in and out, really.
Yeah.
Unless you go by yak and not the aeroplane yak, I mean the furry yak. But so it's kind of like a lifeline for them.
Yeah.
So you will accept that higher level of risk.
And would there be any different processes with the passengers, do you think? Like when they're booking tickets there, would it be a case of you flying into not at your own risk, but there's more risk involved, or does it not really extend to the passengers? It's more like the airlines?
No, it's just the airline and their insurance. And
the
pilots that fly into these airports, they have to have additional training, and not all of them make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there have been some quite nasty accidents at Lukla, you know. And I think another airport that's really fascinating is Mali in the Maldives, because you've got that massive seaplane base there.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. That really is. And that's they've reclaimed a lot of land there, actually, on that island where the airport is.
Yeah, my mum's been fortunate enough to do the seaplanes in the Maldives. She sent me videos from there, and it's just something else, isn't it? And Razorback with quite a nice comment. Thank you, mate. Just saying, I don't normally catch up on streams that I miss, but I'm definitely going to have to make an exception for this one. Really fascinating info from Debbie. And that's from Razorback, one of our regular viewers.
Thank you very much. That's very kind.
So I'll flick through the chat again. If you have got any questions, guys, feel free to get them in.
I just noticed that we're just doing a runway inspection there. So just before this EasyJet landed. So that will be one of the mandatory ones that they're doing. One of the things they will be reporting is the surface state to the pilots, which is obviously incredibly important because they need to know what it is to set their braking action. And they completely revamped the way that we actually report that in November of 2021. It was supposed to come out in November 2020, but there was a delay. The airports lobbied for a delay because they have to train everybody. So every single pilot, every single airfield ops person, every single air traffic controller had to be retrained, which is a massive undertaking. And in 2020, it wasn't very easy because most people were laid off.
Yeah.
So what they have now is it's reported in thirds, and it'll be a number from 0 to 6. So 6 is a dry runway. 0 is basically an icy runway with water on it, so it's just, well, don't land. But Manchester's is usually 5, and that means it's wet.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then you actually report the coverage, okay? And at Manchester, it's usually 100%, wet 100%. And the depth if it's more than 3 millimetres. And that way the pilots can take that information and interpret what that means to their braking action.
Yeah.
So that would be one of the things that they are reporting from the airfield operations guys. And they'll feed that back to ATC, who will then put it on the ATIS, which is the Automatic Terminal Information Service, which is updated every 30 minutes. And it's an automatic broadcast. It's also on the telephone as well. And pilots listen to it prior to departure and before arrival.
Yeah, that's right, 'cause we've heard, I think it's Captain Mark who phoned the ATIS once. And I didn't even realise you could phone the ATIS.
Yeah, I've got it on my phone.
Yeah, it's awesome, that.
Yeah.
And I guess with regards to snow days like yesterday, it's you're also testing like braking action as well.
Yeah.
And there's a machine that goes out, you said, with a wheel on the back of it. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. It's I think they use a grip tester at Manchester. There's a number of different ones on the market. The only problem is these machines cannot be used in wet snow and slush. And what do we get in this country?
Yeah.
and so they're not reliable. So they're actually there to do what's called the friction on a dry runway with a controlled amount of water. So that's why we have the global reporting format which I've just described, which is actually more useful for pilots.
Another BizJet arriving in. This one from Alicante, Tyrol Air Ambulance.
I seen a news article the other day about two friends who live on opposite ends of the country here in England, and the two of them wanted to meet up and go for a day out, and it was cheaper to get a flight for both of them to Alicante than it was to get the train to each other. So they both met in Alicante and had a day out together that way.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it? It really does show it up.
Well, it's like, obviously the TAS fairs have become a big thing here on the channel. You know, we attend all of them, and, well, you know, the Saturdays. And we have John Fezzer, and he lives up in the northeast, and he can either get the train or the bus. He doesn't drive. Or sometimes it can be cheaper to fly with Ryanair via Dublin, from Newcastle to Dublin to Manchester. Which
that's crazy, isn't it?
I think it's a pretty long day. You think it's a very short day, you know, like, oh, it's only 2 half-an-hour flights or 45 minutes, half an hour, but when you consider the airports and the layover...
But it's just getting through security. I mean, this is the thing, the bigger the airport, the harder it is, isn't it? You know, that's why small airports are great. But it's just to let everybody know, we're also looking at having... Well, let me rewind. It's the 50th anniversary of the formation of Greater Manchester this year. So we're going to have a big blue light event because it's called Greater Manchester Police Fire Service Ambulance. So we're going to have a big event here in the park. I'm still waiting. I think it's going to be in May. I'm still waiting to confirm the date.
Yes.
But we're hoping to have the armoured personnel vehicle from the police coming across, and also old fire tenders, new fire tenders, and I'm fingers crossed I'd like to get some police horses in as well, and the police dogs, but I'm not sure whether I can do that, but I shall give it a go.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome event. Really looking forward to that. And if we can, guys, we'll do some testing and stuff, but we'll try and bring back the walkarounds which we used to do before EE decided signal at ground level was important. But yeah, we would like to bring back our event walkarounds that we really enjoyed doing, actually. And Keith in the chat was saying he has a really fond memory of Manchester Airport, which was the fly-through of the glider prototype of the space shuttle on the back of the 747. Huge credit to whoever arranged that, says Keith. Is that one that you remember? I don't. I wasn't kicking around the airport then. The fly-through of the glider prototype of the space shuttle on the back of the 747.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't see that one? Let's have a look.
Yeah, I do really look forward to the events at the RVP that go through the summer usually, don't they? You usually have a good few of them. You have like the blue lights ones, the military vehicle ones, the classic cars, always a good one. Yeah,
so we're just starting to organise those at the moment.
Nice.
So we're just, it's all in the planning phase, so fingers crossed we'll be able to get those sorted.
Matt says, not sure if you know, but do you know if the Manchester Council plaque at Terminal 1 is still there? Because apparently his granddad's name's on it.
Wow.
I've got no idea.
I don't know.
I'd love to know where that is, because
I think it was actually one of the entrances as you first came in. But to be honest with you, it's one of those that you don't see because you don't look for it. Because you're just going in, aren't you, to check in?
That's great.
And Dean loving the snowy backdrops, really enjoying the stream today. Thank you all for tuning in, folks. Really appreciate you all getting involved today. If you have enjoyed the stream, click like. I mean, it's 1:30 already. Usually we're finishing the show by now.
I know.
Having a quick look at the 380. I know you said you've got a meeting as well, haven't you?
I have, yes, indeed. So I need to go very shortly as well.
That's okay. Whenever you need to go, you let us know. It's absolutely fine.
My meeting guy is here, so
no worries.
I shall sign off.
I think we'll wrap up there then with Debbie. We'll probably continue for just a touch longer on the live show, guys, but we can get some hearts in the chat, some 10 out of 10s in the chat. Debbie joining us. There's so much more we could have spoke about, isn't there?
Could you, before you go, maybe talk a little bit about the membership with TAS? Because I've seen a few people asking about that.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 memberships. There's if you want your we basically, it's a monthly magazine called Wing Words, which is full of articles about Manchester. Also, historical articles about Manchester, things like that. Current route news and movements and everything. And if you want your magazine posted to you, then it's £25 a year, and that's for 12 magazines. If you want to collect it from the TAS shop, which some people elect to do, it's £20, or you can become an e-member for £14. And if you do want to join, if you go onto the TAS website and then just click on the join link and then follow that, it tells you exactly how you can pay, methods of payment and how you can join, etc.
Yeah, we've got the links in the chat, guys, for that. We'll get it shared today. If you do want to become a member of the TAS here at Manchester, we definitely recommend it. Obviously, they've been instrumental in our channel here, and we definitely recommend getting involved if you can.
We've currently got around 1,350 members, so we're always welcome. More people, please.
Yeah, and we also did a live stream of one of the really interesting events they had on. There is scope to do more of those when we can, so keep your eye open for that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess, as I say, there's so much more we could have asked you, so we'll have to get you back, Debbie.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it. It's gone really quickly.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be back if you're happy.
Absolutely. But
yes.
Thank you very much. Lots of love in the chat for you as well. And thank you for Debbie for coming in today, folks. I'm going to mute myself for a moment while we just get all that sorted out, and we'll be right back with you. Thanks, Debbie. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.
See you now. So let's have a look at the Emirates A380 currently on stand. We've got an Airbus A330 lining up with Virgin Atlantic. Did we get a mega bong? Anyway, let's catch this Virgin A330. About to take off. I wonder if Martin accidentally pressed that. Yeah, cheers. A huge thank you to Debbie for taking time out of her very busy schedule. As you can imagine, travelling the world week in, week out, and also running the Aviation Society. She's the chairwoman of that. She's very busy. And also doing the commentary here at the RVP. You sometimes hear her if there's ever... I think she's the only lady who does that these days. You ever hear a lady's voice, it's usually her on the Super Sunday shows when they have the commentary on in the background. Sausage fingers. She is so knowledgeable, though, isn't she? She does this for a job. You know, anyone who's a consultant in any... industry they're obviously going to be very wise about it, and she is, and I didn't know she was the first lady to be the airfield duty manager here at Manchester Airport as well. In fact, I learned lots of new things today, and I'm sure you folks in the chat did as well. We'll try and get her back on in the future. Debbie for Prime Minister. And folks, I'd massively recommend every one of you to go and give the Aviation Society a follow on their social medias. They have Facebook. So if you search Manchester TAS, Manchester TAS, you can find that. And then if you really want, you can go the extra mile and become a member for as little as, I think she said £13 for a year. I'd highly recommend that. It's very cheap. And I think it's important to give a little bit back because, as we found out earlier in the show, the Aviation Society were very instrumental in everything amazing that we have here at the Runway Visitor Park these days, and also the events that they put on, Winged Words magazine, the commentary, and also the streaming location that we take advantage of here on the channel. Very fortunate in that. It was instrumental by... the likes of the late Peter Hampson, the late and great Peter Hampson, but also Debbie and the rest of the Aviation Society. Virgin Atlantic A330 blasting out of Manchester Airport there. Yeah, it'd be nice to stick around for this, but I'm afraid it's not looking too good at the moment. I wonder if they're going to de-ice it as well. If it is, that's going to be quite a while of a wait. Debbie for Mod, yeah. Yeah. I think she does tune into the streams here and there, but as you can imagine, very busy. Debbie on the podcast. Yeah, that's a good idea, Lee. Yeah, because I think the podcast, it's more homed in on stories and, highlighting specifics, whereas today it was more of like a Q&A, right? And, a bit more laid back. But I'm excited for the events back here at the RVP as well. Some people who may be new to the channel, during the summer here at the Runway Visitor Park, they have a lot of events on. As she mentioned, like a 50-year anniversary of the Greater Manchester area is going to be a big one. They usually have like classic car events, military vehicle, blue lights vehicle events, and many more. And what we have done in the past is like we do a full live show on the Sunday and then pick up the gear and go like remote and walk around and explore and do some interviews of the people who have the vehicles, and sort of it becomes really fun.
Yeah, that was awesome, wasn't it? That was one of those, that was one of those shows where I wish I had another 2 hours.
Yes. It went so fast, didn't it?
Plenty more questions, so we just had a quick chat. We'll definitely get Debbie back on, ladies and gents, but thank you all for all your questions in the chat. She said she really enjoyed it, and we'll definitely have to get Debbie back on.
Yeah, it's nice to get the lady behind the Aviation Society.
Yeah.
You guys meet her and see what she's all about. And of course, the next big TAS event for us would be the memorabilia fair that they run at the end of February, that we attend as stand a trader, I suppose you could call us.
Yeah, well, thanks again for Debbie giving up her morning to be with us today. We'll definitely arrange her to come back. And a lot of people in the chat saying they're receiving their coins today.
Hey!
First people to be receiving those. Let us know what numbers you got in the chat, guys. We'd love to know what numbers you received. And
yes.
If you've not done so already, we have released a limited edition coin to celebrate the 1 million subscriber milestone on the channel. A huge achievement for us here on Airliners Live, and there's only 250 of those available in the world, and most of them have already sold out. And you can get those at airliners.live. Links are in the chat. They each come with their own display box and a unique hand-signed signature from myself and Andy, and they're all individually numbered on the certificates as well. So you'll it's like a one-of-one certificate. And as we've hand-signed all the certificates as well, I think each one of them would be slightly unique as well. So go and grab yours while they're still in stock, folks. As I say, lots and lots of those have already shipped. If you did see our post on YouTube and our socials the other day, we were kind of surrounded with with coins. Lee Davies said I received number 32.
Wow, that's
and,
pretty low.
Matt Kwan saying I got number 91. Ours hasn't turned up yet, says Tom and Ann. Are you not collecting it from the shop? I thought you would be collecting it, so I've got it in the back of my car, your one. John saying, I hope mine's a low number. I bought mine while the first video was still playing, says John.
It probably will be then.
There you go.
But like I said, there was as you can see, number, what was it, Mac 1 had like 91, would you say, 92? A lot got sold immediately, as you can imagine. So don't be too upset if you got it really early and it's not a low number.
Yeah, John was saying, have you distributed them in order of purchase? So we did split, when we were signing the certificates, we put 0 to 100 in a pile, 200 to 300, and 0 to 100, 100 to 200, and then the last 50. And we did go through, obviously, as we were packing them, and doing them that way. So I think so, mate. We did our best to anyway, John. But we couldn't guarantee sort of specific numbers, but we did our best to make sure people who ordered early did get lower numbers. But we can't guarantee, just in case one slipped in somewhere. But we did our best to do that, mate.
Yeah, it was a massive job that on Monday, wasn't it? We actually distributed across 2 different Royal Mail places as well, 2 different post offices.
We were too scared to take them all to one.
And we survived as well, so that's a good thing.
And I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who sent support in during today's show. I'm really sorry that we've not read everybody out individually today. Obviously, we only had a short time with Debbie and we wanted to get all your questions asked, but I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, who's gifted memberships to the channel today. We really do appreciate your support, and it allows us to keep doing shows like today where we're just bringing in guest speakers and bringing you some live content. So thank you very much for everyone who supported that today.
And thank you for the questions as well, and just getting involved. Debbie really enjoyed that, and I'm sure we'll have her back on soon.
Yeah. John saying mine says tomorrow on the tracking. Right, John. Yeah, some people are receiving them today. I didn't ship any coins yesterday, so maybe it's just took a little bit longer to get to you, mate. Just received mine, and I got number 73, says Sandra.
Nice.
And Jake got number 75. That's awesome. Malcolm loving the show today. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Glad you've enjoyed it. Gold Beanie update, please, Martin, says Carl. They are on order, and I am waiting for him to do the first one and send me a picture so I can put it on the website. So, I should hopefully have them on the website in the next couple of days.
Amazing. Looks like the Emirates A380 is almost ready to go. Looks like the King of the Skies has had the cargo ramps disconnected. I think that front jet bridge, I can't really see very well, but I think it's still attached.
It looks so to me.
I'm just wondering if they're going to have to de-ice it as well.
Neil got number 8.
8, wow. Nice one, Neil. So they're going to have to maybe de-ice it, maybe. I don't think it's that cold anymore. I don't know. Maybe better safe than sorry. Seems to already be running quite late, though. I mean, it was scheduled out around half an hour ago. As you can see, it's still not moving yet. And to do the de-icing, we have to close all the doors and hatches and things. So that jet bridge needs to be disconnected before they even start that. And that process can take a fair bit of time as well. I wanted number 8. We could do some trading in the chat, are we?
Yeah, you have to make some arrangements. Well, thanks to everyone who's purchased coins, guys. They're so nice. We absolutely love them. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to only get a really small number, just so that they were something a little bit special and a bit collectible. So, we haven't got many at all left, folks. So, thank you to everyone who's placed an order for those already. We really appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, great stuff. Watching Fez's show yesterday as well. Was that yesterday? The day before, sorry, Monday it was. That was hilarious. Doing approaches into Madeira.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another chap who was doing it. He just kept going around and going around. A nightmare situation. Because the weather over there in Madeira can get so nefarious this time of year. The chaps who stream over there really do make a show out of it. And sometimes you can go there and you don't get any arrivals, because it's too windy.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go there myself, not so much to catch the windy arrivals, but I'd love to just catch like the unique angle when they're kind of flying in. You really see them banking left, right, But knowing my luck, I'd go there and it'd be too windy. And I know people who have booked flights specifically to go there to record videos, got to Manchester Airport, and then had their flight cancelled because the weather's too bad on the Madeira end, and then just the whole trip's been cancelled as a result. So
no way.
Stuff like that is scary.
Practically Geek saying the coin design would look great on a t-shirt. I think it would, mate. I really do think it would as well.
Yeah, people said that. Yeah, it's a nice design, isn't it?
Mm.
Nice design. It took a long time to develop that. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of work, and also they had to be they're obviously custom commissioned to us, right? So we had to get them manufactured and approved. All the
certificates as well.
Certificates,
were another one.
Even the boxes as well, how we packaged them. Everything was just factor after factor. And
I won't tell you, chat, how close we came to 250 authenticity certificates.
I think it was
Authenticity.
I think it was Matt Smith who
is what we nearly got.
Matt Smith saved the day on that one, didn't he?
I think it got approved by 3 out of 5 of us before someone realised that it actually said authenticity. Authenticity. And the big Matt Smith clocked it, and then Jen immediately clocked it straight after. And we're like, whoa, that could have been a disaster.
Imagine.
Hey, thank you very much, Ruth. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Ruth. You'll love it. It comes in a really nice jewellery style display box, and like I say, you get your own unique hand signed numbered certificate as well that comes with it.
Authenticity certificate.
Yeah.
What did I see in the chat? Funchal has been very stormy the last few days. Loads of cancellations of aircraft approaching and turning back at the last minute. I've heard about that, Chris. I've heard of some nightmare situations as well. I remember watching one of the live streamers there, Madeira Spotting, I think his name is. And this was like last year, I think, this sort of time last year. And I remember him just streaming for like hours and didn't see a single plane. And he had like flight radar open, and you could just see them circling and circling. Like be a plane coming down from Porto, would come down, circle, and then just go back. Just planes coming from all over the place, circle, go back. Because I think they have quite strict limits as well there. Like it's one thing just like the skill and the ability to get it down, but also there's just a threshold it crosses where they can't even attempt it. They'll just jib it off and try again another time. And divert to sometimes like the Canary Islands. Sometimes they'll go back if they're only coming from like Portugal or Spain, something like that. But yeah, it's somewhere I'd love to go. I think it makes a good winter destination because I think it's quite warm this time of year down there as well. It's not as warm as like the Canary Islands, but it's nice enough to be able to get out and enjoy a bit of sunshine. I've seen the towns there, and the landscapes are utterly stunning. I've heard it's just glorious there. But yeah, that's something on the bucket list, I guess.
And for those who haven't seen the coins yet, guys, here's a little video we made showing them off. Let us know what you think in the chat if you've not seen these before. I'm sure you have, but for anyone who may not have seen, here they are. Just take a quick look at these. There we go. Absolutely mega. We're still going to do, don't forget, guys, the little VIP, how many times it took to spin the the coin to get it just right. We will show you VIPs, just what went into that. It was, I'd say it was a good 30 spins before we got a good spin.
It was you who was doing it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny.
But that last one, that actually... people have asked us, said, was that intentional? The fact that it like goes and then off to the side. But I think there was a little bit of post-production.
Well, I think we used our creative expertise on that because, to be completely honest with you guys, we're not messing about. We tried to get the coin to spin right in the middle of the table without moving. I did my best. And then we saw it move over and we went, oh, you know what? While it moves over, that's a really good chance to bring some text in on the right-hand side. So like, yeah, we totally meant to do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was funny. Notice the certificate said 1 of 250. Exactly, John. Yeah, we have that one in the office. We kept number 1, 2, and 3 Number 1 for the office, and 2 and 3 for me and Andy. And then the mods requested some numbers. We gave all of the mods one for free, of course, and they all got a choice of their number. And and they didn't all pick 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They all kind of had little numbers that they all really liked for themselves. So
I wonder which one Sunny 23 picked.
yeah, no idea, chap.
Who knows?
It has got some weight to it, Vincent. You're right, mate. It really does.
Boo mods. We've got a little mod catch up tonight, actually, which is nice to do. Get a bit of
we've
feedback.
got our mod meeting tonight, haven't we?
Yeah.
Are they still available? Yes, they are, John. Yeah, we've got a few left in stock, although a lot have sold already. So head to the website, get yours before they sell out, because there will not be any more, guys.
Yeah, if it lets you place an order on a website, it means they're still in stock. It'll tell you otherwise. 2E737 Max 8. Feels like a while since we've had a departure. The last one wasn't that Virgin A330, was it? Had our eyes on the king of the skies for a little while. And the snow really just melting now with the sun shining bright today. Driving in this morning down the motorway, I went over the Thelwall Viaduct on the M6. Man, you couldn't see anything. It was so foggy. Like, you know, you're really high up there. You could just see the tips of the trees poking through the fog. It was so cool.
Martin and Andy are going to yell at us for an hour. Laurie, you're on the agenda. Yeah, item number 1, Laurie. No, I'm only joking. We've only done one so far, haven't we?
There's a big list of things to get through. Most of them are like, I don't know, just ideas and things that we want to do in the future. You know, get you guys in on it. I'm super excited, and we're going to have to really rattle them off because there's a big list of things I want to talk about.
Yeah, and we don't want it running for hours, so it'll be a what would you say, thorough but
succulent. Succinct, as they say.
2 aircraft lining up. We'll keep an eye on the A380 as well.
AL collaboration with Danny Illustrations. Yeah, I mean, honestly, in future, like, I'd love to work with the guy. That artwork he did for the 1 mil was pretty unbelievable. Yeah, that was really good.
It was awesome and massive surprise as well.
Yeah, that whole mod thing was crazy.
Mrs. Airline's live-ish chair. Yeah. Yeah, I think we do need a boss at them meetings, don't we? To move us on.
Where's Jackie Weaver when you need her?
I know. You have no authority here, Matt Smith.
Sam, I hadn't seen that. I showed her for the first time that like a month ago.
How did you not? How
I
did
know,
you
how do you
live
avoid
on this
that?
planet without
Yeah.
seeing that video?
That is so funny, that, isn't it?
Simon saying, yes, I was hoping and praying that the coin was still in stock and available. Ordered mine earlier in the show, saying Simon, yes, we have a few left. So
Nice one, Simon.
feel free to get your order in if you haven't done so already. They are available at airliners.live.
Yes.
And there are also a lot of people receiving theirs today.
Yeah, and I'd expect if it's not today, you probably get it tomorrow. Just check. I mean, they're all tracked, aren't they, as well? So you can check your tracking reference and all that. Quite a lot of overflights today as well. I've deliberately not been catching them just because, well, I would have spent half the show looking at the sky otherwise.
Yeah.
But I've had quite a few. Really keeping a keen eye out for the quad jets. Usually stand out the most. It's often quite hard to distinguish, but if they're climbing like what that British Airways 380 that was going to San Diego, I think. Can't remember now. The one that was coming out of London Heathrow, that looked epic, and it was so obviously a quad jet from the ground. They do stand out a mile off, though, usually, the quad jets, even if it's just an A340, which you'll often see flying with Lufthansa.
Can you show us the artwork of the 1 mil, please? We only got a quick flash of it on the live. Yeah, let me see if I can show you guys.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, if you head to airliners.live, if you just go onto the website, there is a really close-up picture of it.
That's good.
But let me see if I can work a bit of magic for you guys all now.
Yeah, so what happened was, if those who didn't miss it, I'd recommend going back onto the Sunday show, just gone, and skip right to the end, the last sort of 30 minutes, because it happens, literally tune in, skip to where the Saudia arrives, the Saudia Dreamliner, because it starts to kick off from there. And it starts with Matt Smith telling me to get off this camera and go downstairs. Me and Martin just then sat down there like, what are we doing, you know? And Matt goes, look at that door over there. I'm like, what's going on here? This is weird. And all of a sudden, a bunch of our moderators just rock up in person, unannounced, which was super overwhelming. And they came to give a little presentation. Paul Davies, moderator and good friend, he gave a little speech, as well as handed over what has been worked on for quite a while. An artwork and a card as well to say, you know, congratulations for the 1 million subscribers. And it was, like I said, overwhelming, and it was crazy because I don't know, it was so humbling because it's just, we didn't know that was going to happen. We didn't ask them to do that. They just created like a little private group chat, just them, and organised it all. And they said they got quite stressed because I think there was 2 major changes. Obviously, we were meant to hit the 1 million. We thought we were going to hit it on the Wednesday show last week. Then we realised it was going to happen on the Thursday. So we had to cancel the Wednesday show and do it on the Thursday, which was great because it happened on the Thursday. I think that scuppered their plans. Then they decided to do the Sunday because we were going to be there Sunday regardless. Then the show finished early, which was a bit of a last-minute thing because, you know, there was just nothing really happening. And then Matt had to think on his toes and think of an excuse to get down there early. So he pretended like the batteries had run out on his camera. He had to dip, basically. And luckily his friend, quote-unquote friend, which turns out was Sunny23 UK, she gave him a lift to the RVP where he met with all the other mods. And yeah, the rest is on the stream, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a picture for you guys of the artwork for the coin, which I'll show you when I get this EasyJet past.
Yeah, this is the A320neo that we flew to Amsterdam back last year. Hotel Sierra, back in May 2023. High speed, we called it. Although it wasn't high speed when you sat on the taxiway for a little while. And a Virgin A330. With engines. Gorgeous lighting.
As you can see, the TAS commentary tower, our camera position out the top with a cameraman filming the A380, 1 million subscribers, which is 3D. It sticks out from the coin, the 1 million subscribers section. Of course, Airliners Live, Community Live Aviation channel, and then the Airliners Live logo is on the back of the coin.
Nice. Gorgeous lighting as we go into the closing hours of daylight here.
And the A380 is pushing back, which will be our final departure for today's show.
This lighting is going to be god tier. I'm going to have to get a recording of this, I'm afraid.
There we go.
Get your screenshots ready. Twitch clips ready.
Linda, we did for a short time. We got a lot of questions for him. We spent a long time finding the right t-shirts at the right quality and everything like that, and then to completely be honest with you, Linda, we sold 2 in the space of 8 months. So we removed kids sizes from the website, unfortunately, because they were just sat in stock and they never sold. So we gave a few away and then removed them from the website, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Dakota's still got hers. She's got the King hoodie, which at the time was the smallest kid size because obviously she's only a toddler. But now she's getting a bit bigger. It's starting to fit her now, which is good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great. They're good quality as well. Then, to be fair, they were really good.
Yeah, I can get a picture of that up, Chris. Absolutely, mate. We'll get it posted on our socials. We don't have that with us, unfortunately.
Yeah, Chester Mike's put a link in the chat to Danny's artwork. The 1 mil. It's in a frame in our office now as well. It's digital artwork, and what makes it so special is it's actually hand drawn digitally. So we thought it was like just a filter, and he's obviously done the nice graphic there with the 1 million. But no, he actually made it from scratch. So he showed us some.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he showed us some like work in progress pictures where he's just got like Martin like outlined and stuff, and
yeah,
it's really nice. It's very humbling. And what's going to happen now, I think, is that YouTube are going to send us the 1 million, the gold plaque, and that's going to go up on our wall, and that's going to go alongside that artwork with the 1 mil coin framed up as well. It's going to be a nice little display.
Malky Stoddart still wants a plain grey T-shirt with "Do not stand on the roof" in red written on it.
Well, I could wear that, yeah. I'd blend in with the background.
That'd be funny.
I like that, Malky. Very nice. The A380 again, this happened the other day. It got pushed back really far. It happened when I was here yesterday as well. I'm not sure why. Is it just more convenient for aircraft to taxi around the King if it's all the way back? Not sure. Ryanair 737 taxiing past us.
Yeah, we can do. We can do Surly Dev, yeah.
Hey, Joanna, welcome back. What have you got for your lunch then? You've got
lots of you guys placing orders. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Just dropping in on your lunch break. Yeah, I'm getting a bit peckish now.
It's an awkward time for us, isn't it? It's like, don't usually get home till 2:30, 3ish.
The thing is, because we got this mod meeting as well at 7 or something. Yeah, it's an awkward time.
Oh, lovely rotation shot of the EasyJet 320 Neo, high speed.
I think I'm definitely going to try and eat before this time.
Yeah, good idea. We had a message from one of the Virgin pilots who landed the A330 on Sunday show. Really, really nice, and he was one of the smoothest landings that you'll see on whole stream.
No
as well.
wonder he messaged.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, I know it was a buttery
Just
landing.
letting you know it was me.
Yeah, yeah, it might have been different if it was a slammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's everyone got for their lunch if you're only just having it or you've had it not long ago? I'm not sure what I'm going to have today. I'm not sure yet. Might just get home and cook some sausages and all sorts. I don't know. Speaking of Virgin, is that the Virgin Atlantic A330? Now rolling down 23 right. Sorry, 05 left, not 23 right. So used to saying it. There she goes, taken to the skies. Huge landing gear there, retracting, and that gear on the angled landing gear is what helps to be known as the butter machine. Because when they land that smoothly, it can be outstanding how smooth that can be. I believe Matt's looking at doing the Friday show this week, so in 2 days' time we'll be live again here at Manchester Airport. Henry on Saturday as well, he'll be live, usually about 8 or 9 p.m. UK time, which is about 1 p.m. or midday at YVR time. And I believe Fez is doing a show tomorrow as well. He does Mondays and Thursdays these days. It's a nice addition, kind of fills up the quiet day. We tend to aim these days for the Tuesday to be when we upload a video to the airliners lounge. We may have a video ready for you folks next week, Tuesday. So stay tuned for that.
Is that another British Airways?
Yeah, that's not. Is that an A350?
It looks like it, yeah.
Oof. Ho, ho, ho.
But thanks again for all the support that came in to the show today, folks, whilst Debbie was here. Apologies we didn't read them all out individually. We wanted to spend as much time as we could getting your questions answered for Debbie. But a lot of love came in for her. And
oh, she was great. I was surprised the number of comments she got about her voice.
I know, yeah.
Loads of people saying you got a nice voice, nice accent, well spoken. And she does have a way with words, like, you know, she's easy to understand. Maybe it's just the stark contrast between her and us.
Maybe.
Just catching that Virgin A330 glistening in the sun as she climbs out of Manchester Airport, 05 left.
Yeah, we definitely could have done at least another hour and a half with Debbie easily, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Got the Emirates A380s just pushed back as well, currently on the taxiway just out of view, so that should be entering our view soon with what is going to be some really nice lighting as that Super Jumbo taxis out.
Yeah, let's very quickly see if we can catch up with the support. I think, guys, we got a quick minute. So Brian Kane has just gifted an Airliners Live membership to the community. Thank you very much, Brian. Beastie Lucy fan returning for 21 months, saying it's been a great show again, guys. Very interesting. Another month closer to the 2nd anniversary. See you all soon. Thank you very much, Beastie. A huge thank you to David, gifting an Airliners Live membership. That's David Healy. Laurie M, Big Mod Laurie, returning for 29 months, saying what a fantastic show. Thank you to Debbie. Cheers, Laurie. Vincent saying, I got my coin and my badge this morning. Really pleased with a £2 donation. Cheers, Vincent. And thanks again for your order, mate. Really appreciate that. And Cartin Ellis with the 199 saying, flying out to Lisbon from Manchester tomorrow. That's awesome, mate. Hope you have a great time. BC Loose fan gifted an Airliners Live membership earlier on as well. Thank you very, very much, Beastie. And Alison Rogers sent in a very generous £20 donation, saying, just want to say a huge thank you for the coin. It arrived this morning. It's huge. Even better, it's got an A380 on it too. You guys rock. Thank you very much, Alison. Yeah, for anyone wondering, it's a 2-inch coin, if anyone is wondering. And thanks again, Alison, for the very generous donation. And I think we were all caught up, guys, up to that point. If we did miss anybody, and again, I'm sorry I kind of rushed through those. We do hate doing that, but you guys have sent in a lot of support today, and hopefully we caught all of you there today. So if you have enjoyed today's stream, you'd like to help cover the cost of the show, you can gift memberships by clicking the dollar symbol and clicking gifted memberships, or by sending in a donation to the channel by clicking the dollar symbol, then clicking super chat. Or, like I say, get something in return by ordering one of the 1 million coins, which are available at airliners.live.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have another big day of packing them, aren't we?
Yes.
So, yes. Thank you, everyone, for placing them orders. I'm not sure how many we have left, but, yeah, I'm sure it's not many. Yeah, a lot going on here in terms of upcoming. Well, we've got the Emirates A380. I think will be the last departure for today's show. Running about an hour late, to be honest, when you factor in this longer pushback time, pushing the King of the Skies right back to almost to the apron. I'm not sure why they're doing that. I'm sure there's a very valid reason for that. Usually they just push it back so we can just about see the nose poking out behind the Premier Terminal, but today completely out of sight.
I've just received an email from a lady called Ellie, which just reminded me, actually, I needed to tell you guys something. So thank you, Ellie, for your email. I noticed, or I found out last night, because of an unrelated issue, that our contact form on our website has not been working for probably about a month and a half.
Yeah.
Now, Ellie has emailed and said she's messaged us through there a couple of times and hasn't been able to get a response. I'm really sorry about that. I didn't know it wasn't working. I reached out to the shop guys to get something else fixed, And he said, oh, you do know this will have broken your contact form as well? I was like, no.
Wow.
What? So if anyone has sent us an email using our contact form that you've not had a response to, guys, firstly, apologies, and please send us another email. It now appears that it's working because I've just got an email from Ellie today about a question on an order. Or if you've sent an email and we've not got a response, you can also email us at contact@airlinerslive.com. So again, contact@airlinerslive.com. If you've tried to get in touch with us and you've not got a response, that will unfortunately be the reason why. It should be fixed by now. I'm going to check it when I get home. We just had to do some tweaking on the domain, that's all. So yeah, it should now be fixed, and hopefully contact forms should be working on the website again. But if not just yet, it's contact@airlinerslive.com. And Ellie, I will get back to your email. I've seen it. We'll get that sorted for you as soon as we go offline and get home today.
Great stuff.
But yeah, apologies about that, guys. That was a bit of an oversight. I didn't even realise it was broken, to be honest.
King of the Skies. I can hear the engines of the King just behind the engine run-up bay. Not sure how long the Super Jumbo is going to take to taxi out now. Got this Ryanair 737 on a taxi out with this split scimitar winglets retrofitted to the aircraft. Coming out from Terminal 3, as Debbie was saying, Terminal 3 used to be a big hub for British Airways back in the day, and they still fly from there, but they just don't have a base here anymore at Manchester. When we spoke to Concorde Julie on one of the podcasts, she was telling us how she was based here with BA and used to do a lot of flights, long and short haul out of Manchester. And these days, Terminal 3 is just predominantly Ryanair.
Take care, Mizam. Thanks for tuning in today, mate. And Jake, thank you very much for the 36 months of support to the channel. That's a long time, mate. Thank you very much.
Is that Red Wookiee now?
It is. He's got his Red Wookiee badge.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And, David saying, I was gifted a membership, which I was so grateful for. But now, how do I renew the membership, which expires later this month, says David.
You have to wait till it lapses, won't you, really, and then sign up yourself?
I think so, David. I think that's the way to do it, mate.
And the good thing is, when you do that, you keep your streak going. So I think it gives you like a month after it lapses, after it cancels, to then sign up again, and you'll have a 2-month streak then. So that should be a red tower, sorry.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, David, for wanting to continue that. That'll help us out a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it. Oh, it's G. Rook as well, the infamous Ryanair that took us to Lanzarote last year.
Oh, Kevin, have you sent us? Kevin says, I was wondering why I wasn't getting a reply. Guys, if you don't get replies from us through emails, I promise you it's going to be something wrong, because we get in on Mondays and the first thing we do is go through emails.
We read every email, don't we?
And some people, I think the reason we've not noticed it's been broken is because a lot of people know our email address now, so they just email us directly. But yeah, if you've emailed us, mate, and you've not had a response, just drop us another message. But here we go, final departure for the day. Emirates A380. Look at it catching the light as well on those engines.
That's wow. That's something else. A beautiful day for flying as well. We'll follow the King of the Skies right out. Usually the King will fly just straight ahead, fly runway heading for a while till he's out of view, but we'll see.
Mike just saying you can also do it on the main channel page. You can renew your membership on there as well, so
Nice.
Once
Cheers,
the
mate.
stream's finished, just go to the Airliners Live YouTube page and it should be at the top there. But thank you all for tuning in today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. And we're looking forward to getting this Emirates A380 out. We also have our mod meeting this evening as well, so we'll let you VIPs know what happened in there. And
yeah, we usually put updates in the newsletter about that. The last one was detailed in the newsletter. We, at the end of every month, at the start of every month, we release a new edition of that. Highly recommend checking it out. We usually post it on all our socials as well as on the likes of Discord and stuff like that. Gorgeous sun today, though. We've really caught the sun. Being sat here at the RVP all day, lounging in the sun.
Surly Dev, yes, tonight at 7:30 p.m. on the Discord, mate. So make sure you get involved.
Yeah, if one of the mods wants to put like a reminder in the critical chat at the mods, that would be nice. I was going to do it, but if someone else wants to do it, that's fine.
And David just saying thank you for the info. I will certainly be renewing. Love the channel and the community. Thank you, David. Yeah, and that's the kind of important thing about gifted memberships is that it gives people sort of a taster of being a VIP of the channel, and a lot of people do end up staying on because they do really enjoy it. So that's awesome. And Helicopter Pilot, how are you doing, mate? I've really been enjoying your streams. Saying any helicopters today? We had a couple of overflights,
a
couple of transits, but nothing coming in, unfortunately, today.
No. We had a special guest on today's show, if anyone's just joining us. She left about half an hour ago. It was Debbie Riley, who's the chairwoman of the Aviation Society, but she was also the airfield duty manager here at Manchester Airport. She was a fighter controller for the RAF, and she is now an aviation consultant who works just all over the globe. She's very busy. She does the commentary here at the RVP as well on some weekends, and it was amazing to have her on the show today. It was a 10 out of 10 guest. Everyone loved it. We'll definitely have her on again at some point in the future. Here we go. King of the Skies now rolling off at 05 left. Emirates Flight 18 heading back to Dubai. Using a lot of runway. The Airbus Super Jumbo. There he goes. Glorious weather today as well. Sun's been shining the whole stream. Loved it.
Yeah, it's been great today. And again, really enjoyed having Debbie on as a guest. So thanks to Debbie for getting involved in the chat. Big shout out to Brownie up on the roof running the cameras today as well. And for all you guys getting involved in the chat on the midweeks, we love the midweeks. It's so relaxed. Just really get to enjoy and sit back and enjoy the stream and the aviation. A little bit quiet at the airport today, but still a good show, I think, all the same. And we will be back with you Thursday night for John's show in the sim, and of course MatCam should be live for you guys on Friday as well, and myself and Andy will be back with you on Sunday. So thank you all for tuning in. Mods, we'll see you later on tonight, and for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. We've been Airliners Live, and we'll see you all on Matt's show.
Great stuff.
Bye bye.
See ya.